This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
We ain't playing no games, man. It's just surely probably Pablo, Culture, Lord Productions.
Good morning, South Florida.
This is the Big O Show.
You're tuned into the Big O Show.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Yo, you tuned in to the hottest sports radio show with Orlando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams, from the Dolphins to the Heat, well, you know what I mean. Monday to Friday, Friday Pablo in the Big O Show.
On the radio, the top's where we gonna go. Miami, that's the way we roll. Locked on the morning show, we go. No one has a similar show. Talk sports, talk plays, talk live in the red. Because nobody do it better than Big O in the set. From sunrise, it's alive, it's the best of the best. He's got the fans, got the heat, he's the best of the best. Big O, the only talking sports with a style.
Break it, I'm on in. It's Big O-N. Thank you for tuning in, keeping it glued in. Stay tuned, because right here's where the woman's in. Same place, because right here some of them begin. Simply call and just state your opinion. Real talk, sport talks, the Big O Show. Yeah, you love it, yeah, you like it. Call them and let them know. Culture, Probably Pablo. You know, now introducing the man of the hour. Big O, a.k.a. Orlando also Gary. Yeah.
All right. It's a Monday. Hope you all are doing well out there. Hope you're staying dry because it's raining around here in South Florida. Stay safe, obviously. And our thoughts and prayers continue with everybody at Surfside. I mean, there's, it's one of those things that we can't avoid, right? We go about our everyday and, you're kind of in a good mood, and then you realize that there's something else going on in this town, and it's actually gotten the grips of everybody around the world because you've got so many people helping out and reaching out. So it's a tough one. So our prayers obviously go out to all the folks who are dealing with all the tragedy at Surfside, and it's just a tragic story. So we will try to give you something to get away from the norm, your bills, politics, your love life maybe is hurting a little bit. Whatever it is that you've got a little bit of down in your life, well, let's get away from it and let's have some fun. Let's talk a little sports. Let's get our minds off of it for a few hours here on the show. We thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting the show. Remember to smash the hell out of that like button. That is one of the most important things that you'll do for this program as we try to continue to grow here, which is a beautiful thing. We thank those of you already on the chat board as we got it going on. Hopefully everything sounds perfect, which, we got a new cable. So it's interesting because when we were having the issues, I got to replace that cable's like 15 years old. So I was like, it's like when we built this studio like 15 years ago when I moved into the house, maybe that cable's a little old already at this point. It's been used quite a bit. And so maybe I got to, make an adjustment here. So anyway, hopefully the sound is perfect. Everything is going well. Hope you all are doing well out there on a rainy Monday. I don't know wherever you're at because, plenty of you are watching from all parts of the world. So hopefully you're safe wherever you're at, which is the most important thing. So we got a bunch of things to talk about today. A couple of folks will join us. Michelle Kaufman will stop by at noon to talk a little Inter Miami since that game was played on Friday night, an incredibly disappointing game. We'll get into that one. I got to discuss that with you. Kurt Helin from Pro Basketball Talk, or NBC Sports, actually. He will join us at 1:00. So we'll talk all things basketball with him. So yeah, we're going to go over 2 hours today on the program. There's a lot of things. It's a Monday. There's a lot of things to talk about. People are they're getting away from the rain. They're trying to be safe. So I figured, today we got enough material to throw out there to talk. And obviously, remember, you got any questions, any comments, you can send them in on Twitter at Big O Show. We've got that going on. I've got my Twitter page up right now. So if you want to send me any questions at Big O Show, or comments or insults or whatever it is, go ahead and shoot them. Obviously, on the YouTube chat board is another way that you can join us. You got a question, comment, same thing there. As always, we appreciate the support. And, of course, the Super Chats. Super Chats always appreciated, too, on the program as we try to grow here. Let me give you a little what's called roll call. Matt Walker was in at 10:29 because we posted the beginning of the show, like the teaser, early on. We try to do that to get it going already onto the YouTube algorithms and all that good stuff to try to get it going. John Rouse is in the house. Yes, thank you, John. Bill is not here. Bill is, Bill's on the IR, bro. After the car accident, the dude's on the IR. So he's suffered a little bit of setback there. He'll get back on track and get a little rest and a little rehab, and he'll be back. Not too serious, but it is what it is. So he's got to deal with it, unfortunately. But we'll get him back. We will try to hold the fort for now without him. Ian from Brooklyn, although he could be behind the scenes lurking somewhere else, just away from here. That's all. He's always lurking. The Raging Dolphin Maniac is in. Ohio John. Steve Chapman is checking in. Ray Grulon says, howdy, Big O, everybody. Let's hit that like button. Shall we spread the word, Big O? Back and ready. Thank you. That like button, and share the link too. Share the link to the Twitter feed. Share the link to the podcast feed, whether you do it on iTunes or on Spotify or Stitcher or radio.net. Wherever you find our podcast, because you can find them all over the place. And then and also the YouTube link, man. Make sure you share that with friends and family members and other Dolphin fans and Heat fans and Marlins fans and Inter Miami fans and all that good stuff. So they know they have an option. Gary S is in. NorCal is in. Troy Ortiz says, morning, O. We have delusional Heat fans thinking we're getting Dane Like you've always said, look out, everybody. We got blind ass fans coming through. Yes, there's no doubt that you get plenty of those blind ass fans when it comes to it's in the Heat's case, we call it Heat zombies because the Heat zombies think they're going to get everybody. You know what I mean? And like they kind of leave out the part that they've got nothing to trade. That's a huge problem. Yeah, we're gonna get this guy. Well, what do you have to trade? Yeah, it's like that scene in History of the World Part 1. I've got nothing. I've got nothing for sale. You know, and that's who the Heat are. Just go back to Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 1. Okay, for you youngins out there that have never seen it, should watch the movie. It's actually pretty funny. I think it still holds up. There's a scene there where they're everybody's poor and they're selling rats and for ratatouille and so one guy's selling nothing. He's selling nothing for sale. So that's kind of like the Heat right now. Yeah, well, we want Dame Lillard. What do you got? We've got nothing to trade for Dame Lillard. GP Trap is in. Let's see. Thoughts out to the families affected by the tragic building collapse. NorCal, thank you, NorCal. Very nice of you. Brandon Flood, good morning. Hanging in on as long as this internet at the job holds up. Brandon, good luck, my brother. Good luck. Remember, you got a phone. That's the other way you can always do it. Super V, good morning, Big O. What's up with this Jason Lockham Flores story on Flores being on the hot seat? I'm tired of the media. I don't know. I know Jason personally. I don't know why he would write that. There must be like that must be a teaser like headline or something. I didn't see the article, but there's that's not even a conversation. It's just he's only one of the best young coaches that's up and coming in this league. That's the way I look at it. It's listen, we got people that think Tua was terrible and sucked. And, for me, I thought he was fantastic last year. I mean, I'm sorry. I take into account the man came back from a almost career-threatening hip injury. So, listen, man, we're all going to have different opinions on how we look at things. You know what I mean? For me, Brian Flores is not you know what he is? He's on the hot seat for a new contract is what it is. Because once he has another kick-ass year this year, you better sign that sumbitch up to a 5-year extension, okay? So that's the way I'm looking at it. So I don't, I completely look at it differently. Let's see, what else do we have? Man of 1,005 holes, NorCal's telling us that, yes, everything sounds good. Steve Chapman says sunny and 78 here in beautiful Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Nice job, Steve. Enjoy yourself, my brother, out there in Cape Cod. Pipe Man Slim is in. He says it's sunny in California. Yeah, well, you guys are in a freaking drought out there, man. What's going on in the West? Wow, dude. I mean, the Hoover Dam has dropped like 140 feet. The Colorado River is shrinking. I mean, the electricity in the Hoover Dam, it's down to 75% of what it normally puts out in kilowatts. I mean, the stuff that's going on out west, I pray for everybody out west, man. I hope some torrential downpours come for you guys, for a couple of weeks. You need it badly out there, man. I feel really bad for what's going on the West Coast, man. We are having an incredibly difficult dry spell for the folks out in the West Coast. So prayers to the folks out there, man, because that is just it's not. When you don't have enough water to produce the kind of electricity that you're supposed to produce from the Hoover Dam, which provides 4 states, that's tough, man. So, yeah, I know why it's sunny over there, but that's not a good thing, actually, over there. You guys need a bunch of rain. JG Long is in from Malaysia. JG, thank you, my brother. Much love. One day I'm going to visit you in Malaysia. One day, dude, I'm going to visit you in Malaysia. I swear. Let's see. Milton Munoz, good morning, Chicago. From Chicago, it's been rainy as well. Smashing it. That's right, Milton. Smash that like button. Love it. Super Boom Shack says, I'm busy at work, but hello, everybody. Herman Cueva is in. Ian from Brooklyn. He says, how in the hell could Flo be on the hot seat? Jason must be snorting, baby powder. Yeah, I mean, there's no hot seat, bro. It's crazy. That doesn't make any sense at all. Let's see. James Roman is in. Who else do we have here? Ray says, lock him for a typical non-informed pundit. Rosendo, good morning, Big O and family. I'm at work during summer school, but I have some time to listen to my favorite sports talk show host. Thank you, Rosendo. Appreciate it. My wife is at summer school too now. Let's see. And James, of course, says, listening across from the Gulf in Tampico, Mexico. Rosendo says, according to Lacom 4, yes, I saw that. That doesn't, there's zero chance. Listen to me when I tell you, there is zero chance that Flores is on the hot seat now after the season. Even if they don't have a good season, zero chance. Okay? All right? That's not going to happen. Pat in Nashville says, just bought my first concert tickets since the pandemic. Squeeze. Thank the Lord. Wow. Squeeze. You know what? They got U.S. tour dates. I got to check it out. Are they coming to Florida? Because I'd like to see Squeeze, man. I never got to see Squeeze in concert. That is one that I would love to see. Nice job by you getting some Squeeze tickets, man. I know you don't have the entire lineup in there, you know what I mean? But you have enough. It's not like I got to have Jules Holland in there to make me completely like, oh my God, I gotta do it. So that is nice. Squeeze, let me see. Tour dates. I gotta check this out, because if I haven't seen that they're coming here, I would love to see Squeeze over here in South Florida. Or you know what? I would go over to Orlando or Tampa to go see Squeeze. That would be awesome. Let me see here. Jacksonville, Florida is the closest they're coming to, September 27th, right? And Pat, you said Asheville, right? So I would imagine you're going to the Durham concert August 2nd. Am I correct? Right? Is that where you're going? Okay. Man, it sucks for me. And they go as far as Jacksonville. That sucks. The Jacksonville Theater is where they're going to. Oh, well. Squeeze this. What can I tell you? Weapon X United. Thank you, sir. He is chiming in with a little super chat. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Very nice of you for chiming in with the super chat. That is very, very kind. He says, good morning, Big O, from the A. I would imagine Atlanta, right? That's what that means. Super V says, Big O, do you believe in UFOs after the government released a little information on the subject? I've always believed in UFOs. All my life, I believed in UFOs. There's no way the good Lord's going to make just one set of people on one planet, and then there's planets all over the place. No, man, there has to be more forms of life. For sure. There's no way that we're the only people on every planet that's out there. You know what I mean? There has to be people, whether they're ahead of us or behind us in technology and language and whatever. I'm sure there's a little of both. You know what I mean? So yeah, I've always believed in extraterrestrial, whatever that is. I don't know what it is because I've never seen it, and neither have you. So we don't know except for what we see in the movies forever. We don't know what they look like. They may look exactly like we do. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea, but I definitely believe in it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Man of 1,005 Volts says everybody needs clicks nowadays. Damn right. Damn straight. Got to get them clicks. Pat in Nashville says Hall & Oates support Wednesday, 22nd, September of 2021. On September 22nd. At the Hollywood. Yes, I saw that. I've seen Hall & Oates so many times. I don't think I'm going to go to that show. You know what I mean? They don't play as many songs as they used to. They play smaller sets now. But it's I mean, I've seen them so many times. I probably won't go to that one. But if you've never seen Hall & Oates, I suggest you go. All right? So John Rouse says crypto's on its way up, 16 Ethereums and counting. John, you did a great move, bro. You did a great move. And yes, it looks like it's climbing now. Crypto, I know because my portfolio in the last 48 hours has gone up significantly. So it's making a really nice move. Now, I don't know if it's permanent. I know, John, you want to shoot, especially. Listen, you purchased 13 Ethereums the other day. It looks like you already had 3, right? I guess so. You've got a total of 16. I know you want it to shoot up right away. You know what I'm saying? But if we consolidate a little bit more, it's not a problem. It actually gives people some time to reinvest a little bit, but it's going to go eventually. It's just going to take off. And Ethereum and Cardano and VeChain are and Matic. There are specific ones that are going to pull away from Bitcoin over the next year or two here, and it's going to separate itself, and they're going to move on their own. You saw Ethereum make that power move just 2 months ago when it made the run to 4,000. So and that's with Bitcoin just staying stagnant, because Bitcoin's been stagnant now nearly 3 months, and yet Ethereum took off to 4,000 while Bitcoin was kind of stagnant. So it wasn't really driven by Bitcoin. Now it's going to help, obviously, for Bitcoin and all the altcoins, but there are certain coins that are going to separate themselves, and they're going to take off because they're incredible companies, and Ethereum is definitely one of those. So you win, John. You win. You're gonna win. Now, when you hit it like huge, okay, got to take me out to dinner, So make sure you take out, your boy for a burger or something out there. Ray says Squeeze has the main songwriters, Chris Dilford and Glenn Tilbrook, which is great in the tour. I saw them way back with Jules at Sunrise Musical Theater. All the memories, Ray says. Yes. That's what I'm saying, that, you got the guys you need. I don't need to have every single person in there. You've got the main guys. So, yeah, I'm with you there. I just want to get a little muscles, pulling muscles from the shell. I just want to get a little black coffee in bed. I mean, it's just cool for cats. It's such a cool band, man. I love Squeeze, man. The only thing you don't get is you don't get Paul Carrick. That's the only thing you're missing. And obviously, there's with Tempted, that's a hell of a song. So that's about the only thing, but you can still, with Glenn doing it, you're fine. Tommy in Hialeah says one thing, just like A Quiet Place, they're coming to haunt us. Tommy in Hialeah. All right, so we go through some of the folks on the chat board, and we thank you all, as always, for joining us on the show. We got a lot of things to talk about today on the program. NBA playoffs, obviously, over the weekend. Man, the storylines, and we talked a little bit about these storylines on Friday, well, throughout the week, actually. But you look at what's going on with the Suns and the Clippers, since tonight is Game 5 and the Suns can eliminate them. Here is the question that I have for all of you out there when you start talking about Paul George, okay? Is this a let's call it not a watershed moment for him, but I'm going to not career defining either, but is it something is it a legacy moment for Paul George right now? Because certain players, as good as they are, some of them you'll say, hey, but this, but that, you know what I'm saying? Allen Iverson was a great player, but he wasn't an efficient shooter, shot probably way too much. There are certain great players that a but comes with it at times, right? Dominique Wilkins was great, but never won anything. Those Atlanta teams were monster underachievers. And by the way, that's where I think Doc Rivers gets all the choking, from his Atlanta days as a guard. Anyway, I'm old, so I remember those Cliff Livingston days. But I'm just saying, is that is that what it is for him right now? Because Paul George is the guy that called himself Playoff Pete and talked about how he loves these big moments and all of that. And in the last couple of games here in this series, he has missed, well, games 2 and 4, I think it was. He has missed some big free throws at the end of games. I mean, absolute choke jobs. In this last game, he missed 2 key ones, not the ones that he was forced to miss. I'm not counting those against him, but the other 2 that he missed, those were choking moments. And then in game 2, he misses those back-to-back free throws, which could have made it a 3-point game and would have really changed the complexion of the end of that game, possibly a win. And you're splitting the series now in Atlanta, which is enormous now. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, with the in Phoenix, so you put yourself in position to really lift your team, and you haven't. And you've been put in position to be the guy. I mean, Kawhi's not there, man, and you're comfortable playing the Robin role, but when they put you in the Batman role, you got there's no power there, bro. And so that's why I'm wondering how some of you look at this moment for Paul George, because for me, I do consider it a legacy moment. Here's a chance where he gets his opportunity to lift the team. You know, Scottie Pippen, as great as he is, you're always going to say, yeah, but he didn't want to go in the game with Kukoc because they called the play for Kukoc and he was too busy, crying like a little bitch and didn't go in the game when he should have just gone in the game because, I mean, Michael Jordan passed off to Paxson for a game winner and Kerr and Craig Hodges. That's Michael Jordan. So if Scottie Pippen is going to be butthurt about that, that's always going to be on his resume. You're always going to say, yeah, great player, but he did this. And then obviously the other thing that, Durant was able to use on him the other day, that he goes and gets his surgery right before the season because of his contract situation, which he could have gotten it in the offseason, but he waited till almost the season starting, which was a selfish move on his part. These are things that will haunt him forever. Whether he likes it or not, he's got to live with it, And so for me, I look at Paul George, and listen, I admit I'm not the biggest Paul George fan. I just find him to be a phony. It's him and A-Rod. Yeah, it's just there's something about A-Rod that there's nothing you can ever tell me pretty much that will convince me that guy will ever change. He's a snake in the grass, has always been a snake in the grass, will always be a snake in the grass. You know what I mean? That's just the way I look at A-Rod. That's just I don't look at Paul George as a snake in the grass. I look at him as a fake tough guy. One of those kind of dudes. And the fake guy that oh yeah, I'm ready for the moment. He'll talk it up. See, Kawhi Leonard doesn't talk it up. Even LeBron James doesn't talk it up at times. Once in a while when he's in the barbershop, whatever, and he'll tell you, yeah, it was the greatest ever. But not in the middle of the game or in a locker room setting or anything like that. He's not really doing that. Most of these guys, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you name it, they're not really going to talk it up like that, like Paul George has. And usually those kind of guys are the guys that are talking it up to try to convince themselves in the process. And for me, I got to say, this was a legacy-defining moment. It has been a legacy-defining moment. And what did I tell you after game 2 when he missed those 2 free throws? What did I tell you? I told you that Paul George better win this series from this point on. Because if he doesn't, this is going to stick to him like luggage, like herpes. Okay? Yeah, more like herpes, not luggage. Because eventually, your luggage, you'll get rid of it 10, 15, 20 years down the line. The wheel breaks, something happens. I don't even know if luggages last that long anymore. But you know what I'm saying. So it's more like herpes that stays with your ass forever, pretty much. Because ask Scottie Pippen. he's got the Tony Kukoc play like herpes sticking to his ass forever. And Paul George now has 2 game-defining moments in this series that make him look like absolute shit. I don't know what they're going to do from here on out, but if they get eliminated tonight, which they probably will because they're down 3-1, the Suns are the better team right now. Without Kawhi, without Batman, you can't be led by Robin. You just can't. It's not going to happen. That's the reality of all of this. But to me, this is legacy defining moments for Paul George. And if you really, you know, I remember when Hank Gathers passed away, okay? And his teammate, the guard, which I'm now drafted by the Clippers. Oh, I'm trying to remember the kid's name now. Now I'm brain farting. But he was Robin. Hank Gathers was a steel-clad Batman, a platinum type Batman, okay? He was like the ultimate Batman you can have. Hank Gathers was a badass mofo. I mean, Hank Gathers was the kind of guy that you looked at him when you watched him play, he looked like he was going to the NBA and was going to be an NBA All-Star and an all-type player in the NBA level. That's how good that guy looked in college that he was going to transfer over. Bo Kimball. So Bo Kimball is the Robin. And when Hank passes away on the court, the weight of the world of Loyola Marymount fell on Bo Kimball. And Bo Kimball stood there like a man and a half in a kid's body, because we're talking about a college kid, and he took on the challenge like a freaking champ, dude. Didn't win it, but I believe he took Loyola Marymount the Final Four or the Final 8. I'm old, man. It's just to remember. I mean, the fact that I remember Bo Kimball before any of you typed it in, it's pretty awesome. So you see all of that, and that's what I want to see. I'm not asking Paul George to win the championship because I don't expect him to do it, but I expect him to lift his team up to the point that he gives them the hope of trying to run the table. You know what I'm saying? And I watch Bo Kimball step out of Robin and become Batman for Loyola Marymount, which is my point. And you have those moments, right? And this was the moment for Paul George to do that, to play at the level where he gives his team a chance to win every single night, whether they win or they don't, because they're good enough, fine, but they can't lose because of him. That cannot happen. And that's what's happened. And he has been the contributor to losing in the end. And trust me when I tell you this, he is in the process of losing the guys in that locker room when it comes to believing in him. If he hadn't lost him already last year, the year before, or no, last year, I'm saying, with some of the antics and some of the crap that he said, he's definitely in the process of losing them now. So I don't know what Paul George is going to do tonight, but he better wake the hell up. And I don't know what he better find the juice that he hasn't shown anybody yet and go out there and kick some absolutely serious ass. Because if he doesn't, I'm telling you, this is legacy defining. This is something that will stick to him forever. He was in the key moments and he missed free throws. I got to tell you, if I'm the owner, I want to get rid of his ass. Seriously, I want to get rid of him. And there's more with the whole Clipper story. We'll get into it with Kurt Helin at 1:00. There's more going on, obviously, with Kawhi Leonard that we got to talk about in that one. So tonight, Suns lead 3-1, 9:00, Game 5. We'll see if they get eliminated in the Western Conference playoffs. And then that'll give the Suns time to rest. And we'll see what happens with the Bucks and the Hawks. Man, last night, once the kid twisted his ankle up and he stepped on the referee, which, come on, dude. Seriously? I mean, this is how we've got to deal with it. That Trey Young, gets his ankle twisted by a referee who can't get. And I love how the referee just, was like no big deal, just ran up the court, didn't bother to care about the kid or whatever like that, didn't really apologize at the moment. That wasn't really aware of a play. You got to use your periphery vision there, man. Your peripheral vision there. Actually, it should be said. You got to use your peripheral vision there. If you're the referee, you got to try to be out of the way. I mean, once he injured that ankle, it was a different team. He was a different player when he came back, and it's a shame, man, because that's not what you want to see in a series. You don't want to see these kind of injuries kind of affect the whole thing. We've had enough injuries as it is in the playoffs, but to watch that yesterday, man, I got to tell you, and Middleton is the man on that team because Middleton's the one that can shoot. Giannis can't shoot. Giannis can't hit free throws. I mean, the way the fans are counting it down and all that, that's funny as hell, by the way. That is just the only thing that beats that is the Cameron crazies with their newspapers. You know what I mean? When they're calling out the players and at the beginning of the game and they're announcing the players and all that stuff, the Cameron crazies back in the day. It's good stuff by the Phoenix Suns fans because you could tell they're kind of in their heads, but it's one of those where now you don't want to see this happen, and Milwaukee now steals back the home court advantage from Phoenix. I mean from Atlanta, and that part absolutely sucks for the Hawks because that's the advantage they needed to keep on the Bucks. They've got to find a way to defend Middleton a lot better because he's the guy that can really hurt you. They've done a good job overall with Giannis. Giannis is not a good enough scorer to kill you. You know what I'm saying? He's not, because as long as you can kind of make it hard for him to get to the paint, he won't hurt you. You know what I mean? That's all. You just got to try to detour him to the outside and force him to shoot. And there's no way, yeah, on a hot summer night, will you give your, whatever to the wolf with the red rose? Yeah, on a hot summer night, yeah, Giannis once in a blue moon is going to go out there and shoot lights out. But more often than not, he's going to stink out the place because it's not what he is. So when Middleton has got it going on, yesterday was he 6 of 12? I know I wrote it here. 6 of 12 from 3-point range for 38 points. He had 11 rebounds and 7 assists. I mean, he was just absolutely awesome, dude. When he's shooting, that's when they're at their best because the best player can't do it. It's not his thing. And I don't think it's ever going to be his thing because we've been talking about it for a few years now, and Giannis hasn't been able to kind of correct that issue when it comes to shooting. I just, last night, that was one of those games that I was kind of cringing because I didn't want to see the Trey Young injury. I want to see Atlanta at its best. I want to see the Bucks at its best. We've had enough injuries. I don't want it to affect these playoff series that we have left now. And I just hope the kid can get, the treatment he needs. I hope it's not serious. That's the other thing is we don't know what the hell it is. It might be just a little bit of a twist and he'll be fine in a couple days, or it could be something that could end up lingering and really causing problems for him. Because, I mean, this is a kid that, he needs that ankle because his game is cutting and moving and being able to reposition himself all over the place. And with that ankle obviously twisted up, it's going to be hard for him to move around like he normally is because that water bug is impossible to stop when he's got it going on. You know what I'm saying? See, that's the difference. Trey Young has had his legacy defining moments right now, and he is coming through like a freaking champ. Meanwhile, Paul George is putting his legacy defining moments, and he is absolutely choking it up like a freaking dog. Crazy stuff there in the NBA playoffs. But a lot of fun. I am enjoying the hell out of the playoffs. I will say that. Don't forget, folks, you know what I also enjoy? I enjoy that you smash the like button. So if you're listening to the podcast, please smash the like button. If you're watching YouTube, please smash the like button, man. I even love those of you that smash and run. You know, you've heard of dine and dash, which don't do that, please. Don't do the dine and dash stuff. But we got people that pop into the show because they're working, and they come in, they smash, and they get out just to help out the show, which I don't mind that either. Smash and dash. You can do that too on the show. Not a problem. Lisa Rose is in the house. She says, happy Monday, Fins fans. Every day we get closer to the Dolphin season. I can't wait. I need the month of July to like speed right through. You know what I'm saying? I need to get the Dolphin season already, man. CP3 doesn't win. He'll be, but guy two, he'll be called Cliff Paul forever. Yeah, but CP3 has done a lot of things to help that team win. You know what I'm saying? Now CP3 is at an age where he can't carry a team anymore. That's not his game. He's there more for leadership and guidance, you know, for these young guys. That's what he's there for. And he's not there to carry the team. They got Booker, you know. They got Cameron Payne. His threes will drive you insane. You know what I mean? They got Ayton. By the way, that's Sweet Pain from Kiss. I changed it to Cameron Payne. Okay, just in case. I know young people are going, what the hell's he doing? Couple of old farts out there going, oh, that's a Kiss song. So, yeah, I didn't see Kissology, by the way, yesterday on A&E. I don't have A&E. So I got to watch it somehow. I don't know how I'm going to watch it. Anybody got any ideas how I can watch it? Because it's not on YouTube. I have YouTube TV. I don't have A&E on YouTube TV. At least I don't think so. I looked for it yesterday because I wanted to record it, and I didn't have A&E. So I got to watch that Kiss because tonight is part 2. Anyway, we'll get to that. So with Chris Paul, they don't need him to be that guy. They need him for what they brought him there for the leadership. His body is not at the point where he's got to carry people. You know what I'm saying? But he's done enough that he has helped his son's team get to where they're at. I got no problems there with Chris Paul and what he's doing. I think he's doing all right. Rosendo says, holy smokes, Cape Crusader. Elite 8. Oh, didn't quite make it to the Final Four. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate it. I knew it was either 8 or 4. It was one of the two, but it was still an amazing run by that kid. He would shoot the first free throw, remember, with his left hand because Hank was left-handed. So in his honor, he would shoot the first free throw that he came to the line with his left hand, and he would make it, by the way. Bam, pow, bonk. Few players on a pro team can actually be Robin. Everybody wants to be Batman, but the truth hurts. There's only room in the Bat Cave for one damn Batman. That's what Dougie Fresh says. I agree. Big O, who do you think will win the finals in the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference? Right now, I'm going with the Suns. I'm going with the Suns, man. Suns, to me, are the best team that is left. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Suns. Yeah. I like them. They're going to I think they're going to beat the Clippers tonight. I think the Clippers kind of know they're smoked at this point. They're not going to beat the Suns 3 straight times. I just can't see that happening. I really can't. I don't think so, man. I don't think it's going to happen. What else do we have going on in the world of sports to talk about? Marlins, by the way, they split the series with the Nationals. They had a 4-game set. So they went 2-2. Last night they lost 5-1. Unfortunately, Alcantara went 5 1/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 Ks, got a 3.12 ERA. Saturday they won 3-2 against the Nationals. The Zach Thompson kid pitched lights out, man. He was awesome. Had 11 Ks in 6 innings and just allowed 1 run. Friday they pounded the Nationals 11-2. Pablo Lopez went 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 9 Ks. Rojas had his 4th homer. Coop the Loop had his 6th homer. And then on Friday, they ended up, on Thursday, they ended up losing. That's why there was a split. Tonight, they're off. Tuesday, they take on the Phillies. And Trevor Rogers will be taking on Vince Velasquez tomorrow starting at 7:05. So we got that going on in baseball. Brooklyn Rob says, "Oh, do you really think Flores is on the hot seat?" Guys, listen. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to just like completely address this already on Flores and hot seat. I think that the Flores hot seat story has zero substance whatsoever. I think this is shock value stuff that is being printed. There is no substance to it whatsoever. I told you there was no substance when Mike Florio kept, talking about the Dolphins trying to trade for, a quarterback. And would they have inquired for Deshaun Watson? Of course they would have, but they would have inquired in a low-hanging fruit type of thing. They weren't going to go out there and give all out. They want to see if Houston was stupid. They were stupid before, right? For Laramie Tunsil. I mean, they were dumb mofos there. So why not? Let's see if we can take the kids' candy once again. So Dolphins weren't interested ever in a quarterback and replacing Tua. But of course, they're going to inquire about any player that's a great player that might be available and see if they can get it on the cheap. So Flores, we're talking about a guy that won 5 games where most coaches could not win 5 games with the same team that Flores won 5 games with 2 years ago. It's kind of like I told you, take the Fitzpatrick challenge. Okay? Fitzpatrick won 5 games with that team, which I think was one hell of a feat, actually, considering how bad that team is. And I told you guys this. I said, take the Fitzpatrick challenge. Told you this a year ago, right? Over a year ago, we played this game. I told you, could Tannehill win 5 games 2 years ago with the same team? Hell no. Hell no. Because he needs everything to be designed perfectly so he can actually execute. Because he's a game manager, not a guy that can ad-lib, not a guy that lifts people up. He can't do any of that stuff. He's a game manager. That's what he does. That's it. A lot of quarterbacks could not win 5 games with that team. Flores won 5 games with that team. Super impressive. X, by the way, who wants more money, was out the entire year with a domestic violence issue and a knee injury. Okay? Didn't give any money back. I just want to make sure I mention that. Anyway, so he then goes 10-6 the following year with an incredibly young team and a rookie quarterback who played most of the season, a journeyman who played the other part of that season, a bunch of young offensive linemen, a very mediocre receiving core. The only part of that receiving core that was solid was the tight end. But the receivers itself, one of the worst bunches in the NFL. If to say that Flores is on the hot seat in any way, shape, or form is absolutely ridiculous. It's irresponsible, okay? It lacks any foundation whatsoever. It lacks any accuracy whatsoever. I love Jason. I haven't read the story. You guys keep mentioning it. It means nothing to me. And I like Jason. I respect him. But that story means zero. Zero to me. There is no way Flores is on the hot seat. Flores has to commit crimes to be on the hot seat. Listen to me. He has to go commit crimes. If he starts, robbing banks and assaulting people, then I tell you he's on the hot seat and he's going to get fired. Whether he has a good season or a bad season, if he has a bad one, there is no shot he's on the hot seat. He's going to need a couple of bad seasons before you start putting him on that hot seat. So at this point, that's an article for shock value, and clearly it got a lot of you guys hook, line, and sinker. And I gotta say, why even bother with this? The only reason I'm bothering with it, I tried to kind of sidestep it at first, but you guys keep asking about this. It's ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous. It's a silly ass story. There is zero substance to that story. Zero. Okay? Zero. That's it. I don't know what more to tell you. The guy's a hell of a coach. He's one of the best young coaches in the NFL. How could he be on the hot seat? How could even that be talked about? This is late June. There's nothing to talk about in the NFL because there really aren't a lot of subjects to talk about in the NFL. When I'm preparing, most of the stuff that I have is NBA, some baseball. That's it, man. I got, do I have even a football story that I think I have one football story, two football stories, actually. That's it, man. No, three. I got three, and they're minor football stories that I have there that I could talk about. But outside of that, it's not, no, man, there's really nothing to talk about. And that's what, since there's nothing to talk about, let's just throw out something to stir up crap. I mean, I'll give you another one. Okay. I'm looking at Pro Football Talk. And at Pro Football Talk, now they want to, they're asking if the Rodgers story about, oh, you're staying with that mother effer, could it be the Dolphins? And then immediately in parentheses say, it's not. You know what I mean? But again, we've got nothing to talk about. So we've thought, oh, it's Chicago. No, it's Tennessee. No, it's the Raiders. No, it's San Francisco. No. So they're going through every team in the NFL now to try to, oh, well, who was Brady talking about? What team was he talking about? All that. So since they have nothing to talk about, well, was he talking about the Bears? That fills one day. What was he talking about? The Titans? That fills another day. Well, was he talking about the Dolphins? Probably not. But hey, if he was talking about the Dolphins, and I love in that article how in that article it says, well, the Dolphins have proven that they're not trying to acquire another quarterback. Really, dude? Well, all you did was write all offseason on that website that the Dolphins were trying to trade for another quarterback. It's like there's no consistency whatsoever. And again, it's just the time of the year and a 24-hour news cycle that you've got to try to find to throw shit out there on the board to get you guys to click. So, all right. So now they'll throw this one because I'm sure some people ask, hey, was Brady talking about Tua? Because that's what they're talking about, Pro Football Talk, which, again, they just brought it up for shock value and immediately in parentheses put out the fire. But it doesn't matter because the Dolphin that is ultra sensitive will look at that and then react to it, just like you're reacting to the Flores story, which is complete bullshit. Okay? So there you go. Rodgers story, a bunch of crap to fill space. The Flores story, a bunch of crap to fill space. That's it. That's all I can say that is. Until I'm proven wrong, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay? Don Parlamento says, sounds like it's more about Flo butting heads with Ross. Is Ross getting involved in personnel decisions? Again, I hope not. No, I don't think so. I don't. Flo. Okay. Flo doesn't get it. What's it called? Ross doesn't do anything in personnel. Zero. At all. Okay? Just let's not make shit up too. All right? Tom Flores says, Coach Flores has earned at least a 3-year extension for what he's done. Let's see. Rosendo says, understand, Big O, but the article is not implying that Flo could be fired after the season. If Miami regresses, it's about because of Tua. Again, so you guys are reacting off a hypothetical article that has zero substance. Listen to me. You guys are reacting on a hypothetical article that has zero facts. Listen to me. hypothetical article, zero facts. Come on, man. Let's go. I mean, let's use a little common sense. Let's see through the bullshit. This is just a space filler, man. That's all it is. They pressure them at this time of year to try to come up with stuff to fill the spots. So they're going to come up with all kinds of crazy articles. I mean, why is Tua going to regress? The kid hasn't even started his second season, first full season as a starter. So all of a sudden he's going to regress? Why can't he be great? I'm not sure. I don't understand any of this. And Flo's won with a journeyman quarterback. So if Tua regresses, by the way, it's not on Flo. It's, you know what it is? It's the front office that has to now go out and get another quarterback. That's what you have to say. It has nothing to do with Flo. So I don't know what the hell hot seat or any of that. To me, it's, come on, man. You know? And Chris Greer runs the freaking show. Ross learned his lesson. He got out of the way, dude. He doesn't run jack. He doesn't go meet Ndamukong Suh anymore. He doesn't go out and interview Joe Philbin and say, yeah, that's our guy. And that's not him anymore. He didn't hire Flo. He hired the GM, and he got the hell out of the way finally, which is what I've been saying for years. Get out of the way, hire a GM, and let the GM hire his coach, and let the coach hire his assistants. No more human Jenga, and finally they're on their way. I mean, it just, you know, the Dolphins are headed in such a great direction. To even be insinuating anything negative about it, it's just you're trying to stir shit up where there's nothing to stir up at all. All I've seen is positives all the way through. That's all I've seen from these guys. All I've watched is progress in 2 years. All I've watched is an organization that is now more respected than they've been in several years now. You listen to people around the league, and all they can say is, no, that's an up-and-coming franchise. That's an up-and-coming franchise. Oh, no, they got it going on over there. Oh, I like that guy, Coach Flores. Oh, Chris Greer's done a great job. If you listen to real football people, they're all wowed by what's gone on in Miami. So why the hell am I going to listen to anybody that wants to make any kind of negative bullshit about this team when everything about this team right now is incredibly positive? I'm sorry, man. To me, all this stuff is just a bunch of crap, man. I get it when we had Bullygate and we had a bunch of clowns running this team, whether it was Joe Philbin or whoever it was. Man, I was the first one that was ripping all these losers. And we had plenty of reason to rip all these losers. But now, all we've got is reasons to praise right now. That's all they've given us. So that's the road I'm taking. Until you show me something different, I'm taking this road. Okay? That's it. It's pretty simple. Dwayne Hadley is in, says, what's up, Big O? Tell it how it is. Thank you, sir. Leon Fresco says, that story was just word salad. It didn't actually report any news. Exactly. It's all speculation and hypotheticals, and it just, no substance, man. It's a face filler. That's all it is. A face filler. I think spiller, I said. Face filler. Space filler. Exactly. Pat in Nashville. NFL seasons can go sideways for many reasons, even for good teams. Flo is not on any hot seat, even if they lose more games this season. I agree. To me, it makes no sense. Folks, don't forget to smash the hell out of the like button. That is very important while you're listening to the podcast, or if you're watching us on YouTube right now, or if you watch it on YouTube later on, please smash the hell out of that like button. We really appreciate it immensely. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at Big O Show. You can send in your comments on YouTube, a little super chat. You can send that in. Also, Weapons X United, thank you, sir, for already sending in the super chat. Michelle Kaufman is going to join us in a couple of minutes here. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk to Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald. She will join us in about 2 minutes here. Leon Fresco giving us a little love on the super chat. Thank you, Leon. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you. That is very, very kind of you. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate it. And I got a little bit of a sticker. What is that? Is that like a dog? I can't even tell. I don't know what that thing is, but Leon, thank you, sir. Appreciate it, my brother. Let's take a quick 2-minute break here, and we'll come back and we'll get ready for Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
Thank you. Hour number 2 is ready to go now. We are going to be joined by Michelle Kaufman any second now. We're going to talk a little bit about the inter-loss to Orlando City. Ed Marti, thank you, man. Thank you very much for a little super chat. I appreciate you as he sends in a little super chat action. Thank you, sir. He says, love your work. Thank you. Appreciate you as always with a little super chat. Let's thank you to all with the super chats. Super chat.
No way.
Yes way. No way. Yes way.
They were fantastic.
Super chat. Thank you, my brothers, all of you out there. Weapons X United, Leon Fresco, Ed Marti. Thank you for a little super chat action. That is very nice. Ed also is asking me, Big O, what is the name of the doctor who took care of your voice problems? Got to jump off now, but I will catch it when I listen to the pod later on today. Go to jump off now. Okay. His name is Dr. Vivero, and he's across from what was the Bakery Center or whatever that place is called on Sunset. Sunset Place, I think it's called. It's right across from it. It's where the old Shula's was right there, which is right across from it. It's the building that's across from that. I believe it's in the 7th floor or something like that. His name is Dr. Vivero, all right, with a V, Vivero. And really good dude, man. Really good dude. Did a really good job. Quickly, doesn't screw around. Really, and the office, the people in that office, they were awesome. And none of them, and I didn't, there no favoritism here. Nobody knew who the hell I was or none of that crap. So he didn't. I don't even think he follows sports actually. So, but really good dude, and everybody's super responsible in that office. I mean, they were awesome. I gotta say, they handled everything first class. So good stuff there. But yes, Dr. Vivero did a good job in going in and getting that polyp out. So Ed, if you're having issues, go see him. He's a good dude. We are awaiting Michelle Kaufman. We are awaiting her connection. Okay. Okay. All right, there you go. All right, so she is about to join us now. She just sent me a text to join us on the link there. So we are waiting for her to join us. Unfortunately, Inter Miami ended up losing on Friday night to Orlando City 2-1. They had a good first half. They were the better team in the first half, and then in the second half, everything just kind of fell apart. Nani ends up scoring. Chris Mueller ends up. No, it was Mueller, not Nani, scored. It wasn't a pretty situation. All right, we promised you that Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald would be joining us.
To brush my hair. I didn't know I'm going to be on a camera.
Yes, you're on a camera.
Oh God! I need to put makeup on. Give me a couple minutes.
You look good. You're
good. Brush my hair,
fluff
my hair out. Okay.
You look a lot better than Inter Miami did the other night. Wow, that was a rough one. I got to say, although the first half was really good, I thought they did a really good job in the first half. Not that their chances were great shots at goal. It was kind of easy shots for the goalie, but they were still the better team in the first half. And then in the second half, things fell apart, Michelle.
Well, I think they were the best team for 70 minutes, honestly. They played as well as I thought it was maybe their best, it was one of their best games all season. They're playing against potentially an MLS Cup, finalist there. Orlando was coming off a 5-0 win over San Jose, which is not a good team, but still they destroyed them 5-0, and they won the previous game 3-0. So this is a team that had scored 8 goals over 2 games. It's a team that's very, very good. And I think everyone, at least people in the press box, I don't want to name any names, but there were some people predicting that Miami was going to get blown out. And I'm sure a lot of fans thought that too. For 70 minutes, they looked really good. For 70 minutes, they were tied. And, 0-0, they basically, Daryl Dike was invisible. They did a fantastic job on him. LGP and Figal completely shut him down. He had scored 2 goals in the game before. He's one of the best players, in MLS by far. And he didn't do anything. You didn't even know that he was in the game. I forgot that he was in the game at moments. I was looking around like, is he in there? Oh, yeah, there he is. He's just not doing anything. So I think for 70 minutes, they moved the ball well. They were getting to the ball first. They were playing with urgency. They were moving as a unit together. I mean, they were doing things that they had not done very well in some other games. So for 70 minutes, they did really well. Then Gonzalo Higuain comes in, and on his second touch, fires a beautiful shot between 3 defenders, threaded a needle there. There was a very tiny lane there between 3 defenders, and he found it and found the back of the net. And they're up 1-0, and the place goes crazy. And I'm thinking, oh, this is it. Maybe they're going to do it. Maybe they're going to win. They're going to pull an upset. And this team, that what I told my daughter, after every game I talked to her, and this is the wah-wah team. Yeah. This is the team of like, oh my God, look what they're doing. Oh, they're going to win this game. Wah-wah. Right. No, something always seems to happen. And in this game too, they tend to have a breakdown after they score a goal. And this goes back to last year to Diego Alonso. It doesn't matter. He was a different coach, same narrative, which is they'll take a lead, and then within 3 minutes, it seems like the other team scores. It's just a very bad habit that they have that has cost them dearly, last season and this season. They have some kind of breakdown. Now, in this case, both goals were Nani. Phil Neville said after we got beaten on 2 moments of brilliance by Nani, because the first one was a fantastic cross. Chris Mueller, I'm not saying I could have scored on it, but whoever is a professional soccer player that was standing there would have probably scored on that cross from Nani. And then it's tied 1-1. And then I'm thinking, okay, it's 1-1. If they get 1 point out of this would be an achievement for them, because again, Miami was coming off 3 losses and they hadn't scored in 3 games, and Higuain, all the mess with him. Finally, he comes in, he scores, and Pizarro's on the field. I'm thinking, okay, things are happening here. But then Nani's second goal, the winning goal, was just, it was brilliant. It made the ESPN top 10 plays of the day. From the top corner to just fire that thing in there. That was pretty much unstoppable. I don't know what goalkeeper could have stopped that. No. So they end up losing 2-1. At the end of the day, they've lost 4 games in a row. At the end of the day, they've scored 1 goal in 4 games. These are not pretty numbers. At the end of the day, they are now in 12th place out of 14 teams, which is lower than where they were last year. So the numbers and the stats are bad. But the way they played, and I don't want to be sounding like Phil Neville, puppet here, but I will say that the way they played in this game was much more impressive than the way they had played in some of the previous games. So now the question going forward is, can they win? Can they figure out a way to win? And to do that, what they really were missing for the whole first half, that they completely dominated, and were moving the ball well and everything, but they did not have a good forward. Somebody who's just going to put the ball in. The final third is where their problem continues to be. They get the ball up there. They hold the other team. They hold a team that had just scored 5 goals, was scoreless at halftime and through 70 minutes. But they couldn't score. And the one guy that they have that they paid over, almost $7 million a year, he's sitting on the bench the entire first half. He comes in and scores, but if they can't count on him for 90 minutes, they're going to have trouble. And then Robbie Robinson, also on the bench, their number 1 draft pick on the bench. For the first half of that game, you have their 2 DPs and their number 1 draft pick sitting on the pine. Right. That no other team is doing that, is sitting their 2 DPs and their number 1 draft pick, who happens to be a forward, who I think if he would ever get his stuff together and be healthy and whatever, I think he could be a good player. But all those people were sitting on the bench for 67 minutes. And then Pizarro and Gonzalo came in the 67th minute. But what was missing is scoring. What's missing from this team more than anything is scoring.
Yeah, and the Higuain goal, it looked to me like he was dead set on taking a shot no matter what.
Yeah,
he kept moving to the right and kind of trying to find that slot.
Find that slot.
And he did, and he found the slot and he scored. And I kind of you felt his frustrations there, like, no, I got to do something. I got to make something happen. And I think
that's what good strikers can do. He's very decisive. When he decides he's going to shoot, he just shoots. He doesn't dribble around and pass to people. He has the confidence. He has done that so many times in his career. If he's in the box and he's close to the goal, he is a very, very dangerous weapon. The problem is he's out of shape. He's really he's out of shape, and he's never been known as the most fit player. He kind of got here with a reputation of being a guy that was not always in the best shape, but usually played himself into shape as the season wears on. And in this case, I believe that the coaching staff was just, basically finally came down and said, you're not going to play if you don't get in shape. We don't care that you're the 3rd highest paid player in the league and that you played at Juventus and blah, blah. If you don't get in shape, you're not going to play. And so he's now on a very, very, strong fitness plan, and they're trying to whip his body into shape.
So what's the latest with Robbie? Because that's what's going to open it up for him. He doesn't have the midfielder he needs to set him up, but he does have somebody at least that can play opposite of him to maybe take some pressure off and help with the one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Because, he's done a good job of setting others up, and I'm talking about Higuain. He's done a really good job of setting somebody up from last year to this year. He's done a good job. If he has Robbie there, maybe that's something that can open it up for him and Robbie at the same time. How far is Robbie? Listen, I'm not trying to hurry it up because I know how hamstrings are. That stuff can linger all season if you don't watch out, and they've already mishandled it a couple times. So what's going on with Robbie?
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, beginning of the season, that's what Phil Neville was saying, that he liked the idea of two forwards, of Robbie and Gonzalo. He thought that they would be a really good pairing. Robbie is, he's running, he's jogging, he's out there starting to train. But from what we've been told, it's probably a couple of weeks. I mean, I think he could be back, he could be back maybe in 2 weeks. I'm not sure. I don't think he would play this coming weekend. I think maybe possibly the following weekend. It depends. Like you said, they don't want to rush it because they did put him in one game and then he pulled it in that same game, aggravated the same injury. But absolutely, they need him in there. They really need all those guys that were on the bench, for them to be. And, I know they're very optimistic that when Kieran Gibbs gets here, that he's going to help on the left side in the back. Kieran Gibbs. I think, they got a goalie coming in, Nick Marsman from Holland. I think that John McCarthy has actually done a good job. I think he stepped up from last year. He's taken on the challenge. They pretty much told him, hey, we just signed this Dutch goalie and he's getting here in July. So you basically have between April to July to show us what you can do. And then it's going to be a battle when Marsman gets here.
That's going to be interesting. Yeah, because I think McCarthy's done a nice job, but I think he's more of a backup when it's all said and done. All right, so let me ask you the tough question, because Pizarro, like I say, it's been a bizarro world with Pizarro. It has not worked out. The one coach couldn't really get the most out of him. Now you got the new coach, and he hasn't worked out either. So walk us through, because I don't know all these rules, man. And because he's a DP, if they can't trade him, can they outright cut him and just swallow the salary, take the loss, and go buy another DP? Or are there rules in the MLS? Do they have to pay some kind of a fine or something if they can't trade him? If they can trade him, maybe somebody only takes partial salary. What do they do with the rest of the salary? Walk us through this mess that is Pizarro.
Well, yeah, they can do whatever they want with him. The question is, they're not if they were to unload him in some way, get rid of him in some way, they definitely would want compensation for it, because they paid a lot of money for him and he makes $3.5 million a year. And, they paid a big, transfer fee to get him. So they invested. He is a big investment. They invested a lot of money in him, and they can flat out waive him. They could transfer, he could do a trade, in soccer, transfer, trade, whatever you want to call it. He could go on loan somewhere. I mean, there are avenues for him to go somewhere and they get compensation for it. They're not just going to cut him, and I don't think they would just cut him and eat. They already have so many expenses. They have $2 million in fines to start with from the Blaise Matuidi thing. They have, still have not recouped all the money that they lost during COVID last year without having any fans in the stands. So, the club has spent hundreds of millions of dollars between the training facility, the stadium, hiring all these players, hiring a staff, doing all that. On top of that, having a $2 million fine, Jorge Mas, another $225,000 fine. They have a lot of expenses on their budget, on their spreadsheets.
But Michelle, they're not going to be able to trade him with that salary. Very few teams are going to take him on with that salary. Mexican teams are struggling as it is right now. Even that would be the place where you could.
That would be the place, because he does have a reputation there. But even there, I mean, he was just dropped. he was supposed to go with the Mexican team for 2 friendlies coming up. And they just announced that last night that they dropped him from the roster because of lingering injuries, and they took somebody else. So, his value, his market value at this point is definitely dropped quite a bit from what it was, even at the beginning of the season. He needs to play much better than he's been playing. And this injury, I don't know, it's like a hip flexor. They keep saying it's a hip flexor injury. I don't know. I mean, you're right. I don't know who outside of Mexico or maybe some team in Latin America would take him, but more likely Mexico is where he is known. Some of the clubs there, the fans still like him. He has coaches there that he's played for. Mexico would be the most logical landing point for him, but it would mean that the Inter Miami would have to eat quite a bit of money, and that's again more expenses that I'm sure they don't want to pay. But
I'm sure.
I mean, at some point he has to produce. And he hasn't.
But we keep saying that, and somehow or not, I mean, I've kind of come to the point, Michelle. He's not a DP, man. It was a bad side. Him and Matuidi have no business whatsoever being DPs. I'm not exactly sure what Paul was thinking. If I'm signing a DP, it's got to be a dude that puts the ball in the back of the freaking net. And if you can't put the ball in the back of the freaking net, I'm not signing a defensive midfielder to be my DP. That was a huge mistake with Matuidi, and they're stuck with that contract now. Now the Pizarro one, you're also stuck with it. But I'm thinking, okay, and I know George wants to win, and he'll spend. So is he willing to go to the extreme, which is, I think, what you're going to have to do with Pizarro if you want to sell your team next year to your fans? Because, Michelle, you and I know you can only get away with the honeymoon period for so long in South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't prove that you can entertain, you're only going to leave the supporters groups out there. They're the only ones that are going to be in the stands. You're going to have a smattering of fans in the rest of the stands. And George knows this. You need stars. You need to entertain. And right now they're not doing that. That's why I'm thinking the Pizarro one, because they're stuck with Matuidi. They can't even move him because it would be terrible PR around the world for other people to come to this team if you move Matuidi at this point after doing everything you did. But the Pizarro one is one that you can drop because it hasn't worked out. And that's the question. Would they be willing to flat out just cut him and add another DP that's some kind of a star out there so they can really turn things around?
Yeah. I mean, they may, Jorge, they have spent a lot of money, more than any other club. They have the highest payroll in MLS, the highest payroll, and they're in 12th place. So clearly, again, this isn't like the, dump on Paul McDonough show, but you got to, who was advising him? He got sold some false bills of goods. Let me tell you. Also, even to make Matias Pellegrini a young DP, he was not. He was not a young DP. So they paid like $7 or $8 million transfer fee for that kid who's now in limbo. He's not even playing for the USL team. He's not playing for the MLS team. He's just practicing out there. He has not played at all this year. That's your young DP from last year. Then your other DPs are Gonzalo Higuain, who's completely out of shape, obviously has talent, but, has had struggles here. And then you have,
Michelle, the move that buried this team more than any of them was Daryl DK, because you have Daryl DK, you now have your star. They wouldn't have sent him to overseas, not in this team.
Right. No,
George would have kept him here to be his star, and you can sell him and you can sell jerseys, and all of a sudden you've got your centerpiece to your team. And can you imagine DK along opening it up for Higuain? That would have been a lot of fun. But that's the problem here. All these decisions that were made by Paul in the first year, whether it's Matuidi, whether it's Pizarro, whether it's the Pellegrini move, whether it's passing on Daryl DK twice, right? Because they had 2 picks in the top 5.
They had 2 picks.
Yeah, they had 2 picks. So you passed up the best player in the draft twice. And to me, that right there is what ruined and set you back right there. Because if you have Daryl DK, all of a sudden, my Lord, you have one of the top stars in town, not just with Inter. I'm talking about in town. You would have had one of the top stars. You would have had something that really Inter can build on and sell.
Yeah. I think there was too much of a we need to have big name syndrome, which I agree. I was part of it. I was one of the ones who said the fans here, they want a name, and the fans were clamoring for a name. All the fans now, no one ever wants to own up and raise their hand, but all the fans before they were putting the roster together that were just clamoring for, are they going to get Luis Suarez? Are they going to get Cavani? Are they going to get this guy? Are they going to get that guy? And then when they signed Lewis Morgan, people are like, who, what, that, all those fans who were pissed off when they signed players that they've never heard of and were so excited when they signed World Cup winner Matuidi, Gonzalo Higuain, Argentine star, Juventus, all those fans that were so excited. I wonder now if they had signed more players that people didn't know who were better in their prime and the positions that really were needed, and the team was winning now and was in 4th place instead of in 12th place, those fans would be happy, I think. So I think there was a little too much of, and I'll raise my hand, that I've always thought that people in Miami need stars. People in Miami like glitz and glamour. Look at the Miami Heat. The interest in the Heat now is not what it was when the Big Three was here. Whether they're winning or losing, people here like stars. And so I kind of bought into that too. I thought they need to sign big names. They need to sign big names. At least one of the 3 has to be a big name. And I agree that maybe one of the 3 did have to be a big name. And maybe Higuain is worth it. Maybe they didn't realize that he was going to.
Well, if you would have had the right midfielder, yes, he would have been worth it. That's where your other DP should have gone, an attacking midfielder that can set up Higuain, but also score. That's what I think they needed to go after, and that's where they failed because they played a little bit more from the outside in, on Friday night. Why? Because Lewis Morgan is your best way pretty much to set things up. They've got nobody in the middle to set people up. That's really their problem. If you brought in Higuain, you had to. It's like when you have Lassiter on your team. Well, yeah, you need a Pibe because Lassiter can't set himself up, so you need a Pibe to set up Lassiter.
You need the waiter. You need the waiter to bring the food on the plate, on the platter. Yeah, you've got the guy. You've got the guy in the box who can score, but he needs someone to deliver him room service, right? He needs room service in the box. Not too much room service though, because he's trying to lose weight. But yeah, I agree with you. Pizarro, I think Pizarro came here partly because Diego Alonso wanted him. Okay. He's the one who came when Diego came. Diego had coached him on 2 teams, and Diego pushed for him because he knew him since he was a very young player. And also because, from what I can tell, Paul McDonough made a lot of his decisions based on whatever Tata told him. And if Tata told him, to take Pizarro, that he's one of the best young players in Mexico, that's what he did, because he really admired him because of what he did in Atlanta. So he trusted that advice. And, I think he did show flashes last year that he has talent. I think Pizarro has talent.
Oh, yeah. He's just not a DP. That's all. You know what I mean? It's like Matuidi. Matuidi's an 11th man. He's not a DP, dude. Not at this point in his career. And if the only way you would bring Matuidi as a DP would have been 5-7 years ago, and your team's already loaded up front that you can score, you're not worried about it. So you wanted to really, lock down your midfield, your defensive side of your midfield. That I understand if you want to bring Matuidi at that time, but now, in the twilight of his career, to take one of your 3 international spots, hell no. That to me just doesn't make any sense. All right, they've got Montreal next up. What do you think? Any shot? Because Montreal's got more points than Miami right now. That's for damn sure.
They do. Well, it's a neutral site. It's very strange. 2 teams that train about 10 feet from each other in Fort Lauderdale, because Montreal has been based here because of COVID. These 2 teams train right next to each other, and both teams are flying all the way to New Jersey to play this game because Gold Cup is being held at Drive Pink Stadium, which seems crazy to me. I feel like they should have just changed it to another day or something, one of the off days that Gold Cup isn't playing. But anyway, it's kind of strange that they're both flying to New Jersey to play each other on a neutral field where I'm assuming there won't be any fans. I don't know who's going to be in New Jersey cheering for these teams. Maybe there will be some couple of fans here and there. So they won't have any kind of atmosphere. What do I think? I think that Miami can beat Montreal. If they play, I think they played pretty decently for parts of the DC game. And I think this last game against Orlando, I really do think if they played that way, the way they played, and if Gonzalo can play more minutes, they will have back. Now, the quandary they're going to be in is that Ryan Shawcross and Gregory are available now to come back because they were out for red cards.
Right.
I actually think the back line did better with who they had. I think that having, Figal and LGP together side by side, they have a real good chemistry in the middle as center backs. And then, you've got Kelvin Leardom, I thought, did a pretty good job on the right side. He had some good runs. Jovan Jones apparently is injured, though. I just saw last night the Trinidadian papers are reporting that he's out for Gold Cup, that he injured his knee in the final parts of that game the other night, which I did not know. So apparently if he's injured, that you got another injured guy. But I still think Miami should beat Montreal. I will predict that Miami will beat Montreal in New Jersey.
Let's hope so. Follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. Catch her exceptional work there at the Miami Herald website. Michelle, as always, I appreciate your time. Enjoy the week.
Thank
and
you.
See if the boys can get back on track. Look forward to talking with you again. Be good.
Take care. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
There you go. The great Michelle Kaufman joining us here on the program. Appreciate her as always, man, to talk a little soccer with her. Thank you all out there as always for supporting the show. Don't forget to smash the hell out of that like button. Please smash the like button. Okay. We need it. We need it. We need it. We need it. It's a great way to kind of get the algorithms going, and it'll also tell people, it'll put it in front of people's faces and they will lock on. So please smash the hell out of that like button, whether it's the podcast, whether it's YouTube, however it is you're watching, listening, all that good stuff. Appreciate it. Lisa says, get a Fire Stick. You will get all the stations. I've heard about that Fire Stick a lot. People have told me about that Fire Stick. I know nothing about that Fire Stick. Jack Enrod says, Michelle rocks, support local journalism. Jack, I'm with you, baby. Definitely. I subscribe to the Herald and to the Sun Sentinel. Yes. Rosendo says, Michelle is one smart journalist. She knows her stuff. Yeah, Michelle does an excellent job, man. She is absolutely fantastic. And unfortunately, it's a frustrating year again for Inter Miami fans because we were all hoping that they could turn the corner and be a little better this year and maybe even challenge and get into the playoffs and make some noise. But you know what? So far, the preseason predictions, they were right. And boy, was I wrong. I thought they would be better this year and try to find, get in a groove. But it just looks like it's not that they're bad players. It's just a bad mix. This puzzle does not fall into place. That's really the problem. All right. Designated player, for those of you that are asking for DP, what does it mean? Somebody was asking how many can you have, and it's 3, your max. Although we try to have 5 this year. Ray says, I enjoy this segment with Michelle. She's on top of her soccer info. Thank you. Does Omar Kelly still show up on the podcast? We are working on that. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, are DPs and international players the same? Yeah. DP are your international players, basically. That's what it is. Because if they're American born, they're not going to count against your DP list. Usually they're all from out of the country. That's why I'm interested to see what they do in the offseason, because George has spent so much money on this team. and even putting that stadium up in Fort Lauderdale, which that stadium, once he moves to Miami, that stadium is not going to be used the same way. And so you think about it, you better have a lot of concerts and you better have a lot of international friendlies there to kind of make up for it and do something with that stadium. I'm sure they're going to play a lot of high school football. They'll probably move some of that into that stadium when it's all said and done. I'm not sure, but they got the academy there and all that stuff, but that's they've spent a lot of money, and that's why I'm interested to see what are they going to do with Pizarro. Will they end up cutting him? Because I think you're going to have a trouble in trying to trade him. You know what I'm saying? All right. Let's see. Remember, you can reach out to us on YouTube. You got any questions? Send them in on the YouTube channel. We got the super chat. Don't forget to hit the like button as always. The Twitter page is on at Big O Show. So if you've got any questions, comments, or anything like that, you can send them in here on Twitter at Big O Show. Don't forget to subscribe. Big O Radio Show. You can find the podcast on Instagram. You can find us on Twitch. Also, we're on Twitch right now. You can see us on Twitch at Big O Radio Show. Okay. Omar Brown is asking me, Big O, do you think X stays in Miami? No, I don't. I don't think so. I think X ends up getting traded when it's all said and done. Not this year, but maybe next offseason, the draft, something like that. I can see X getting moved. Yes, I can. I really can. I think that's going to end up happening when it's all said and done. Let's see. That's why I think they drafted Igbenogany, because I think eventually they knew they were going to have some issues because this kid was a little bit more self-centered. And so, yeah, I kind of expect him to get traded when it's all said and done. Let's see. What else do we have here on the show to talk about? Because we got a bunch of stuff that I want to mention here on the show. By the way, we've talked about this in the past. You know how some of us get injured, and we get injured. We get injured. And it's embarrassing when it happens to us, right? Like, I'll give you an example. I pulled my groin one time just getting out of a car. Okay, I pull in over in Orlando. Me and my buddy drive up to Orlando to go see Van Halen. And I get off the car. And when I get out, you stick one leg out and then the second leg and you get out of the car. And in getting out of the car, I pulled my groin. Okay. And, it kind of felt like a little bit of a tweak. And, I thought it was nothing. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I'll just, I kept walking to the arena, whatever. And then I sat down and, I stood up several times for the concert, but I wasn't really walking or anything. I just would stand and back down. So I wasn't really feeling it. Concert's over and I'm trying to walk back. And dude, wow. The groin thing just exploded on me. And I was in pain for several months. Okay. Several months. And it was simply just getting out of the car. And I think it's happened to all of us, right? At one point or another, we've all suffered. Hopefully some of you haven't suffered serious injuries when, off of anything, but some of us have suffered injuries doing simple little things. And it's embarrassing when stuff like that happens, right? So there's a pitcher by the name of Mike Soroka from the Atlanta Braves. Now, this guy tore his Achilles tendon, and he comes back from the Achilles tendon. And then what he does is he's walking towards the clubhouse the other day, and he ends up blowing his Achilles tendon just simply walking to the clubhouse. So now he's out for another year now. Okay, this is the second time this guy has blown his Achilles tendon. The first time it was actually playing the game. This time, just walking to the clubhouse. I mean, I think some of the more frustrating things in the world is when you get injured doing something just normal, and it wasn't athletic. It wasn't that you had to force yourself to do something, strain to do something. It's understandable if you're lifting boxes and all that stuff, and you happen to lift one that's a little too heavy and you tweak your back, right? That's normal, dude. You were lifting heavy stuff. It's risky. That can happen. When you get out of your car, you're not supposed to blow out your groin, dude. You're not supposed to be sidelined for like 3-4 months. Not that I couldn't, go out anywhere. I walked everywhere I went, but I was like limping everywhere I went. You know what I mean? Because it was a bitch, dude. It hurt like crazy. And I think those are the worst injuries and the most embarrassing ones, because it frustrates you that it actually happened doing absolutely nothing. Damn, I got out of the shower and I twisted my ankle. It's like you were just getting out of your shower. How in the hell are you supposed to get injured just getting out of the shower? You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure it's happened to a lot of you. And those of you that are on the chat board or on Twitter, you can give me a story or two of an injury you suffered doing something just normal. Normal. People blow their backs getting out of bed or something, or rib cartilage they tear just by sneezing or something. You know what I mean? It just weird things happen doing the simplest things in the world. And I think there are very few things more frustrating than that, when you've suffered an injury doing absolutely nothing practically. I mean, it's got to be frustrating, man. Anyway, so reach out to us if you can at Big O Show. I saw that from Mike Soroka, and I was like, I can relate. I can't relate with a major league player because I'm not a major league player. I can't relate with an NFL player or a hockey player or a soccer player because I've never played at that level. You know what I'm saying? But man, can I relate to somebody who blows out their Achilles tendon just simply walking to the clubhouse, because that's something that I've experienced and I can deal with. I can relate to. It's crazy. Matt Walker says, I remember Laramie Tunsil hurt his ankle by trying to step out of the shower. Exactly. Remember that? What's it called? David Bowens blew out a knee ligament changing a light bulb. He was on a little stool, changed the light bulb, jumped off the stool, which, the stool's, and he's a tall dude, so it's got to be a short stool. Foot and a half, whatever. Jumps off the stool. When he lands, blows out his knee ligament. That's an athlete. I mean, it happens to you and me. We jump off and we blow a ligament. It sucks, but we're out of shape. We're not those guys, David Bowens, wow. And again, this is something that we all can actually relate to. Oh, man. I've heard of dudes pulling a hamstring in the bedroom getting action. Oh, yeah, for sure. Never happened to me, but that's something that would happen to me. Yeah, of course they can. Now, you are doing something there. You are getting a little busy. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you try a crazy move, a crazy position, you twist yourself up, and you get injured. At least you're doing so. But I mean, simple things: getting out of the shower, just walking to the clubhouse, getting out of the car. I mean, at least with sex, you're doing something. You're working muscles. You're actually, doing something. I don't know if you call it athletic, but it's, it's there. Are you no longer on Onside Sports? Onside is no longer, sir. Unfortunately, Onside is gone. They quit on the project. Unfortunately, we didn't quit on the project, but they quit on the project. Unfortunately, weren't willing to continue, and so it is what it is. So we had to move on, and we have restarted our podcast, and we are here every day now. At 11 a.m. pretty much is where we're at every day. So I'd appreciate it if you can like, subscribe, and follow. Thank you, Bubba Joe Exotic, who I think is watching on Twitch. Thank you, sir, out there on Twitch, and pass the word out there. You know, I look a lot on the chat board on YouTube, but I have to look at the one over here on the StreamYard because this one has it for all of the places that we're at. So I got to make sure I get the questions in for our friends also on Twitch. Okay. So thank you all out there. Appreciate it. What else do we have here to answer on the show? What else you got here? NBA playoffs riddled with injuries. Yeah, we talked about that just a little while ago. What's up, Big O? It's my birthday, 35. Thankful for another day. Bones, happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday to you. Can't sing the song because they will sue your ass if you sing the song nowadays. So I got to stay away from the song. Seriously, you can't say the ready to stuff line with the boxing guy. You can't sing happy birthday. These are things that they'll go after your ass, and you will pay money for them. So you have to be very, very careful in that case. Can't say that stuff. You got to stay away from certain comments. But happy birthday, my brother. Danny Zuniga says, great show, Big O. Will always be a listener. Trade X. That's what Danny says. I think Danny is watching on the tube on YouTube. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you very much. Let's see. What else do we have going on here? Did you guys see Hector Santiago? That now the Major League Baseball is now searching for illegal substances that players may have on them to try to get an edge on pitching. So Santiago yesterday, the Mariners pitcher, was busted, or maybe not. So he was tossed for foreign substance in his glove. Now, they say he was just using the rosin bag, and when rosin and sweat get together, it becomes sticky. Again, I have never used rosin, and in that situation, I've never used it enough to know whether it gets sticky or not. So this is Santiago's explanation.
I'm expecting him, obviously, to check me every inning. I kind of joked around with him moving, like if I was going to run away, because I know I wasn't using anything besides rosin, what's given to us. Because going into this, once it came up, I was just like, I'm going to use rosin. That's what we got. I don't want this to be a big thing. I don't want this to happen to me. So, and he said he just felt some stuff sticky on the inside of the glove. So all I used was rosin. I mean, I used it on both sides, arm, sweat, trying to keep that sweat from dripping down to the hands.
Well, they confiscated the glove, so they're going to check the sticky substance. I see Don Stewart on the text line says, Finn's up first, and he says, rosin never got sticky for me in Cali when I played. Okay? So, I can't answer that question. Don answered it. He says it never got sticky for him. I don't know. I don't know whether he's telling the truth or not. They are going to test the substance that's in that glove. Now, here's a couple of layers to all of this, okay? One, I'm glad that baseball is doing it because baseball is loaded with cheating all over the damn place. From juicing the ball to juicing the players to smaller ballparks they just have rigged everything possible to try to make the game more interesting for Americans. Okay? I mean, they've done everything possible. I get it. So, you know what? Do everything possible to stop people from cheating already. Because I don't think there's more cheating in any sport than baseball. I mean, what Houston did was just absolutely disgusting. It's from the 19 whatever it was 05 Black Sox or 1915 Black Sox, whatever the year was at the beginning of the last century, and it just never stops, dude. It never stops. So spin rates now are going down. They'll test this glove. And I got to tell you, Hector's going to look like one king-size a-hole if that is a substance. But then on the flip side, then baseball looks like king-size a-holes if it was just rosin. Now, let me ask you something. What happens if this is the playoffs and your pitcher's dealing and they throw him out and they think it's a substance and it's not? What happens? What happens if that was a playoff game? And I know that the manager was coming out to take him out anyways, but let's just say your pitcher's dealing. It's only the 4th inning. You're up 3-0. He's got 6 strikeouts in 4 innings. He shut down the opponent. All of a sudden, the manager wants to F with this guy's head. Go check him out. And, these pitchers are losing it. Because obviously, when you're innocent, you will stand at the top of every mountain and scream your innocence and do everything to prove your innocence, which, by the way, that what I just mentioned will be mentioned again in this show for something else. We'll get to it. But I'm just saying, what happens if this goes on during the playoffs? And what if your pitcher is playing really well, you throw him out, and then a couple of days later, oh, it wasn't rosin. Oh, we're sorry. And then your bullpen came out, and they effed up the game, and you lost it. And what if that was an elimination game? What about if that was the game that decided the championship? I'm just saying, you better get – I don't mind you doing this. I don't mind you policing the damn sport because we don't know when a son of a bitch is corking a bat, juicing his ass. The baseballs are wound tight. Whatever it is that this stinking sport continues to do it. And now we're at a point where it's a home run or a strikeout. I mean, I don't recognize this game anymore, to be honest with you. I play fantasy baseball. I watch baseball. I still love the sport. I'm not into it nearly as much as I was 10 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, okay? I would lie to you to tell you that I have the same passion for baseball that I had in the past. I do not. Because it's just not it's not a sexy sport to me anymore. It's not a fun sport to me anymore. It's kind of boring at times. It's limited. And the players are limited too. There are a lot of things that frustrate me about baseball. But I'm looking at that and I'm going, what, you better get this thing straightened out. You better actually throw people out that are really cheating. Again, I don't know about this rosin crap. I can't tell you that it does get sticky or it doesn't or whatever. But if it's not rosin, the manager is going to look like a freaking liar and the player will look like Pinocchio at this point. But if it's the reverse, then the ass hat is on baseball. And I'm glad it happened now in, game 70 or whatever the hell it is at this point. I'm glad it happened now than it happens in the postseason. And you better watch out in the postseason because there's going to be gamesmanship and they're going to try to use this. It's like icing the kicker. That's what's going on here, right? Timeout. Why? Because you want the kicker to sit there and think about it. He's thinking about it between cigarettes. He's looking at the sidelines. The guys are warming up his knuckles because they're going to take away his bar. I'm sorry. That's a replacement. But anyway, you want the kicker to kind of think about it, don't you? Right? That's kind of what it is. This is what they're going to use this for. Even if they don't think he's cheating. They're going to, you saw what Girardi did to Scherzer. Oh, well, he was wiping his head a little too much. Girardi's full of crap, dude. Girardi wanted to F with Scherzer. That's what he wanted to do. Because if the pitcher's getting the best of you, all right, this is a chance where I could ice the pitcher. Be careful. Too Extreme says, baseball is a sinking ship, same as boxing is. Yeah. Too Extreme, it's interesting that you bring it up in that way, now that I think about it. And it's their own doing. Isn't it? Right? Think about that. Baseball's the one that allowed steroids. They knew it was going on. They watched everybody's heads getting big and their arms and right? And they didn't care because the turnstiles were going, the cash register was ringing up, and then eventually it blows up on them. So they kind of brought it on themselves. They know the pitchers have been doing all kinds of things, filing, spitting, oil, whatever, to balls forever, and they never did anything about it till 2021. They've allowed their players to get limited. They can't hit opposite fields. They can't lay down bunts. They don't steal bases anymore. It's crazy. I heard, some of the stats now in basketball. Well, maybe not all the best three-point shooting teams are advancing. Some of the teams that are also, they can hit twos and they're fine. So maybe everything's not about threes. You know what I mean? Well, maybe in baseball, we should start teaching our hitters to hit opposite fields, teach them how to bunt. Why don't we bring back the stolen base? Why don't you try to add more life to the game? Boxing, you've had the promoters control everything. They don't put the best fights together constantly. We get Pacquiao Mayweather 6-7 years after it was supposed to happen. Boxing, that's why the UFC's a monster, because Dana White doesn't do that bullshit. He doesn't believe in that. He wants the best matches because that's what the fans want, and that's what they're going to pay for. And that's why he can have a pay-per-view every week and make millions every week. Meanwhile, boxing buries itself because they don't give us the good fights. Boxing had not done enough to keep although we have a little bit, a revitalization of the heavyweights, finally, 30 years, 40 years later, because really from the early 80s till now, the heavyweight division has been absolutely nothing. Now we've got a couple of fighters, but it's just something that disappeared too. So when you think about it, a lot of boxing and a lot of baseball's problems, they brought it on themselves. Yeah. Kind of sucks, right? I do want to remind you, Kurt Helin is going to join us here at the top of the hour. We're going to talk a little basketball with him. We got so much to talk about in basketball. There's all kinds of news. Dame Lillard, what's going on with him, and the hiring of Chauncey Billups. I mean, all kinds of stuff going on. We got Kawhi Leonard. What's going on with him? He's not happy with the medical staff. We got the Lakers. Are they going to make a move for another star? What the hell is the Heat going to do? Do they have anything? Do they have any ammo to make any kind of move? Obviously, we got the Eastern and Western Conference Finals to talk about and what's going on. I mean, there's a slew of stories going on. Rick Carlisle leaving Dallas to go to Indiana. I mean, there's a lot of storylines going on right now in the NBA. And let me tell you, this is going to be, as it always is, a very interesting offseason because of all the other stuff that's going on. So we got a bunch of things to talk about with Kurt Helin at the top of the hour. So please make sure you stick around and get ready for Kurt here at the top of the hour. Let's see. Baseball, boxing, horse racing were the main sports for most of the last century. Now look at them, dying sports. Yeah, you are correct, sir. Secretly, they embraced cheating. There was cheating in the 1900s. 2016, now 2020, cheating won't go away. Baseball needs cheating. Well, baseball keeps burying itself with cheating is what's going on. Okay. And Rosendo tells me it's 1919 White Sox. There you go. Thank you, sir. What else do we have here? I believe and hope baseball can be saved. Herman, I hope you have the ideas to save baseball because even the players don't get it, Herman. The players aren't on social media. They're not doing a ton of commercials. Meanwhile, you watch football, basketball, and soccer, and they're marketing themselves. They're all over commercials. They're all over the internet. They're all over social media. I mean, there's a lot of things that they are constantly in people's faces doing all kinds of promotions and things like that, and baseball is completely lost. The players don't even understand that they've got to market the game themselves. It's bad, man. It's bad. I don't know how you save baseball. I really do. And young people, I mean, they're you. That's it's not me. I'm watching it, dude. It's watching the Dodgers game last night. Besides Marlins, besides watching other things, I watch baseball, so it's not me. But I'm 54. I'm not the person you got to be worried about. You got to be worried about the 14-year-old and the 24-year-old and the 34-year-old. Those are the people you lost. That's the problem with baseball. Their fans are dying. They're not picking up new fans. They pick up very few new fans. It's tough, man. Rather watch paint dry than baseball, says Troy. Baseball has a problem with today's ADD, instant gratification, millennials and younger. Yep, I just was saying that, David. As a seam head, I know baseball is going. That's what Dougie Fresh says. The sport has so much to offer and somehow offers little. It is sad to see. That's because they're not creative enough. Let's see. Last year, baseball had that forced commercial with all the baseball players and failed. Yeah, but they've got to get into marketing and having fun. You know, chicks dig the long ball and all those kind of things. They got to get back to doing stuff that becomes mainstream. They've got to get to the point where they're doing stuff that becomes memes on social media, all those kind of things to promote the hell out of the sport, man. And they just do a piss poor job of it. They really do. All right, give us 2 minutes, and we will have Kurt Helin joining us from Pro Basketball Talk.
This is the Big O Show. 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 This is the Big O Show.
All righty, we are back. We promised you we're going to talk a little basketball, get into it with Kurt Helin from Pro Basketball Talk, NBC Sports, always kind enough to join us. Make sure you follow him on Twitter like I and many others do at Basketball Talk. Kurt, how you doing, my brother?
Hey, it's all good, man. It's all good for me, man. This is the fun time of year.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's our first time doing a show video wise, because obviously we could do that nowadays because things have changed, but we've done it always on phone. So it's good to have you here, my brother, and good to get into a little NBA playoff action. First of all, the Trae Young injury. Do we know anything right now? Because my brother, that game changed completely once the kid got injured.
Yeah, he's getting an MRI today. We have not heard the results of that yet. I mean, it's a sprain. It just depends on how severe it is. Obviously, like it didn't look. I mean, knock on wood, it wasn't anything worse than that. But if he's slowed, I mean, the Hawks had a lot to overcome in this series anyway. But if he's not leading their offense and putting up 30 plus a night and doing it efficiently, then they're in a lot of trouble.
You know, I was asking this question at the beginning of the show, and is this a legacy moment for Paul George, just like it is for Trae Young? And I'm watching Trae Young, and he's passing the test with flying colors. You're watching Paul George in your backyard, and he's, you know, I kind of compared it. I went back to the Loyola Marymount days, and rest in peace, Hank Gathers goes down, obviously, with the heart issue, and Bo Kimball is then left with the team.
Yeah.
And he goes on to have a run of all runs for a college player that year. And he had to play the Batman role instead of the Robin role. And he was phenomenal getting them to the Elite Eight, you know, that year. And he was able to raise his game. Well, I'm looking at Kawhi Leonard sidelined, and this is an opportunity for Paul. And in the big moments, he's going small with those free throws, which has really changed the face of two of those games. And then I'm watching Trae Young, and this kid is passing every test there is in the book. Is it a legacy moment for each player?
I think Trae Young's got a lot more legacy moments coming, man. He's what in his third year. He's about to get paid,
but he's laying the groundwork. Like,
yes.
I am the dude in these moments, is what I'm saying.
And I
whereas
think
Paul George has not done that for us yet, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and with Trae, I mean, we just didn't know, right? That was part of it coming into the playoffs. Like, he's never done it on this stage because he'd never been there. But we're like, I mean, there was a lot of doubt around the league. Hey, when it gets physical, he's going to fall apart. He's a little frail. What happens when he stepped up to the moment, like you said. He's been phenomenal. So Paul George, dude, he's a number 2. And I don't want to take that away from him. I just, like, he stepped up. He has actually had big games. You know, he's missed free throws, but those free throws don't matter if he's not having a monster game. There's a lot got put on his shoulders going into this. It's just, I'll just say what really struck me at the last Clipper game when you got to the fourth quarter of that game is they look like a team that had played 13 games in 25 days, man. They everything's front rimming. Like, the legs just aren't there anymore. And I don't want to take anything away from the Suns, who have been phenomenal, but the Clippers look like Ty Lue doesn't have any more arrows in the quiver, man. There's just nothing he can pull out. Like, now we're going to do this. There's nothing left.
You know, what's funny is that we kept giving them credit for coming back from 0-2, but that takes a toll on you. And it gets to a point where you just can't keep falling in that hole. It's kind of like, you know, the team that you watch during the NBA season that continuously falls to a 15, 20-point deficit and then has to kill themselves to get back into the game. And by the time they get back into the game, they have no gas left to finish the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost something like that that's going on right now with the Clippers.
It absolutely is. And it's just that it becomes much harder to do when you are without one of the 5 best players in the game when healthy, right? Like, it's just, you're asking a lot of, they've had Terrence Mann step up. He's been fantastic. Reggie Jackson, who's gained confidence over the course
Big shot Jackson.
That guy fears nothing. Like, all this stuff is working for them. But at the end of the day, I mean, with Kawhi, not only are you losing the guy who can just go get you a bucket, you're losing your best defender. Like, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. And Phoenix is too good. And Ayton's been too good, to be blunt. They've been able to take Utah out of their game. Dallas really has, I don't think it's a secret. Porzingis may not be an elite player. I'm just going to throw that. Like, you know,
Luka's convinced of that.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, I haven't been convinced Porzingis is a number 2 anywhere for a while.
That beanpole can't stay healthy anyways, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, that's another issue with Porzingis, that he's unreliable. His body just does not hold up when it's all said and done.
No, and he's owed, I forget the exact number, but a little over $100 million over 3 years. Like, good luck moving that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really, hey, congratulations on the awesome new front office in Dallas, which is basically just a bunch of other, Mark Cuban has the power. He just shifted the guys around him, right? But like, It doesn't really matter. Like those, you can't make, they can't make Porzingis tradable, but that's, when you come back to it at the end of the day, the Clippers, I feel like they've run out of gas. I don't think the Hawks are going to win this series anyway, but man, you're right. They have laid a groundwork of confidence and belief. John Collins has stepped up. This is a team where you're like, man, next year, 3 years from now, like they've set themselves up to be.
As long as they can keep these guys together, as long as they can keep them together is obviously the key. Let's go over some, and obviously Kurt Helin from Pro Basketball Talk joining us, NBC Sports. Follow him on Twitter at Basketball Talk. Let's go over some of the issues going on in the NBA. First of all, let's start off in your backyard. Kawhi Leonard, not happy with the trainers reportedly, that they misdiagnosed his injury. Is it true? Is it Memorex? What's the deal? Does he really want out? Is he going to get out? Or is he going to stay there? Because to me, it makes no sense. You forced your way to get back to your house, to your home, and all of a sudden now you're going to want out. I just don't believe any of that. But you tell me, you know more than I do.
All right, we'll start there. Out of the three things I would say out of that, number one of them is Kawhi's not going anywhere. I don't know anyone around the league who thinks that. Like you said, he worked too hard to get back there, and whatever frustrations he may have if with them, like they bend over backwards, and that is a very player-friendly organization under Steve Ballmer. If he doesn't like the training staff, don't be shocked if the training staff gets moved. Like
I was going to tell you, trainers are getting fired this offseason.
Like. The other two things there, though, I know from sources, they're essentially giving him his own lane. His doctors are making the call. The Clipper trainers are in the back seat on this. Like, he's not playing because Kawhi's guys who aren't happy. Now, maybe they're frustrated with the conversation.
This is Tom Brady and his trainers, what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is that. And number two, be careful reading too much into Kawhi because the guy doesn't talk. It was hysterical during the last game. I was at it, but I saw the replay later where it was they cut to him and the Clippers are making a run. They cut to a picture of him up in the suite and he's just sitting there stone faced. And Breen's like, Kawhi's going wild. You can't. He doesn't speak to the media. You can't read his body language. So I'm hesitant to buy anything I hear about him secondhand. Let's just put it that way.
How's Paul George's stance on that team? Because last year he rubbed people the wrong way towards the end of the season, how he addressed the team and things that he said. And now this year with everything else going on and kind of the choke jobs at the end, where does Paul George stand with this team?
I think fine. I mean, I don't want to say they wouldn't consider trading him in a blockbuster, Damian Lillard-ish kind of deal. Like, I mean, not that that's on the table, but like it would take something like that for them to get serious about it. There were tensions in that locker room. There were issues in that locker room a year ago. Part of it was that was a team that felt entitled. They hadn't won anything. They played like a team that was like, hey, we're going to be in the conference finals. We're going to play the Lakers. Obviously they didn't. They struggled with the bubble and all that, but the challenges in that locker room, personality-wise, are not on that team anymore. It was made very clear what the power structure is in terms of the pecking order, and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are still there. Paul, remember, also just re-signed a massive deal this summer. So he's not going anywhere, basically.
Lakers, what are they going to do? Because they've got to find another piece.
Yes. Since
AD is unreliable, they're going to need another piece that they can rely on just in case AD breaks down. Plus, believe it or not, the cyborg is not nearly as durable as he has been in the past because now he's had a couple of injuries the last couple of years that have affected his season. So I'm wondering, what are the Lakers going to do? Because we saw where the Mr. Blonde Hair or whatever, he unfollowed the Lakers apparently. What's his
Kuzma.
name? Kuzma,
Yeah.
yes.
Well,
Kuzma apparently unfollowed the Lakers and stuff. So what's up there?
Yeah, Kuzma, if somebody's getting traded this summer, it's Kuzma. Like, they want to bring back Taylor Horton Tucker, which they absolutely
I like him.
I like
it.
There's 29 other teams that are looking at him like he's a restricted free agent. They're going to have to.
Dude's got balls, bro. Dude's got balls. He's fearless, man. I like him, man. I think they found something there. Go ahead.
They did. They're also going to have to pay to re-sign fan favorite and LeBron favorite Caruso, who's look again another guy.
More weed, more grinders for him. It's all good. Don't worry about
it. So they're going to have to bring those guys back, but they're not going to be cheap anymore. And Kuzma becomes the movable piece and the centerpiece of any trade. And they do need to do something. I think they realize that they need another playmaking guard. They were able to get away with that in the playoffs because playoff Rondo showed up for the Lakers a year ago in a way he absolutely has not shown up for the Clippers this year, right? But he showed up and gave them what they needed in the postseason, but they've never really had that guy. They again, Horton Tucker kind of do it, but I'm not throwing that responsibility on him yet. They need to find some other shooting than with the wings. The other thing with the Lakers, I think they realize now, there's no margin for error with this team. Right, like they do not have. When LeBron was in Miami, and it was at the peak of his powers. Plus, obviously, they had Wade and Bosh, but
Ray Allen
and everybody. But there was a margin for error. If LeBron had an off night, it was fine. Like or took some time off, it was fine. Like whatever it was, they were going to be fine. He could have an off night in the playoffs, and other guys could step up. This team does not have that. This team needs AD and LeBron to be at their peak to win. And they've got to find a way to get some more help around them. And it's not going to be easy, but I think you're going to see a really aggressive Laker team this offseason. I'm just not sure what they're going to be able to pull off. Kuzma's value around the league isn't like high, right? Like
he's not going to bring a star.
He's a fine rotation player.
Yeah. And the Suns are only getting better, dude.
Suns are getting better. Denver's not going anywhere.
No.
The Clippers, by the way, will be
get
good.
Murray back next year. Yeah.
Well, eventually. I mean, it's an ACL, so he'll be back. That's the hard thing about that. Like,
but he'll be back for the important time of the year, not the regular season.
Is he himself though? I think that's always the guys come back from that ACL, and it's a while before they truly trust themselves. But Denver will still be good. Phoenix is still going to be good. The Clippers aren't going anywhere. Obviously, I mean, Portland wants to get back. Like the whole West is so deep. There's just no margin for error for the Lakers. They've got to be able to win enough regular season games that they're not in the stupid plan, and then find a way to find a way to be better in the postseason and at their peak. And it's going to take a lot. They're going to be really aggressive this summer. I'm just not sure. Never sell them short because there is a draw to being in Los Angeles that frankly, New York, Miami, there's a handful of cities guys will just take a little less or bend everything to go to and be part of. LeBron still has that draw to a lot of guys. So don't sell them short, but there's no easy answer here.
Yeah, and this offseason, again, is going to be absolutely awesome in the NBA. I mean, it's got to be now a headache for you, but a lot of fun for us, by the way, to follow this. So Dame Lillard, what happens with him now? Because now we've got – see, this comes from the city that loves to riot and destroy their own city. Yeah. So now these idiots are now picking on Dame Lillard because he's supposed to know and do the background check on everything that went on with Jason Kidd when he was 7 years old. I mean, fans come up with some really stupid-ass stuff sometimes. To pick on Dame for this has nothing to do with it. So now you've pissed off your most important player. What are you hearing? Is he really interested in leaving? Does he really want to go? And then, people have talked about the Jazz and the Lakers as destinations for him. I know Knicks fans are hoping that they can lure a star out east.
Yeah.
And I would imagine if they're going to move him, they're going to move him out of the conference, not in the damn conference as it is. So what are you hearing about Lillard and this situation?
Yeah, it's getting really tough because, like you said, look, he's not used to that fan base coming at him. He's been loyal to them. He has been their, frankly, arguably the best player in franchise history. I mean, we could argue Clyde Drexler or whatever you want to go back, but I mean, he is up there with the legends of that franchise, yes. And he is not used to having them come at him like this. By
the way, I might put him second behind Bill Walton.
Bill, yeah. That he did win a ring.
Just because he's got the ring, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And that Bill Walton, holy moly, that Bill Walton.
I don't think people realize how good, healthy Bill Walton was because everybody, even people our age who are a tad older, sometimes think of the 1986 Bill Walton off the bench.
Yeah, the guy with the fused ankle.
Yeah,
right. The fused ankle guy. Yeah.
That guy is a college. Bill Walton might be the best college player ever. I mean, it's debatable, but he is in the conversation. He was that good, and early career is just insane. So yeah, anyway. If he pushes his way out, you're talking about a full-on rebuild, right? Like, you're not going to keep CJ there. Like, it's going to get interesting. So they've got to find a way to calm this down, and part of that's going to be putting a team there that he's convinced can win. This is about pressure. He wants to win now. That's got to mean moving CJ. But I don't. Again, that becomes. Do you bring in Ben Simmons? Does that make you better? I know that's been out there. I don't. That doesn't. I love the idea of Ben Simmons as a poor man's Draymond Green, like defends really well. You trap Lillard, you hit him at the nail at the free throw line and let him distribute. Except that peak Draymond hit 15-foot jumper. Peak Draymond hit threes.
Right, but I don't know if Portland has enough shooters around him.
Yep.
Whereas, you know what? I can see him in Phoenix. Because they have enough shooters around him that they don't need to put the pressure on him. Can I give you the most effed up thing about Ben Simmons? You're gonna go. You're right. It won't ever happen because they won't want him, and I don't want him. But he needs the Miami Heat more than any other franchise in the NBA. And again, Heat fans, I don't want Ben Simmons. I don't want him to trade for him. I don't want Riley to be interested in him. I just want you to know that I would just want to say it ahead of time again. But there are very few teams that can develop players like the Miami Heat. And that's one of the very few teams that I think might be able to develop a free throw shot and a mid-range jumper at him. Forget about the three-pointer. That's not ever going to be him. But they probably could make him, because that's what he really needs when it's all said and done. He needs a team that can actually make him better. And I've watched this team make Bosh a three-point shooter, make LeBron play in the post, Wade develop a shot. I've watched Isaac Austin lose the weight of an entire human being and go get a contract from Orlando because he played his ass off here. I've watched Eric Murdoch and Keon Dooling lift up their careers by coming here. I've watched player after player after player in 25 years that Riley's been here, that they've gotten better because Whiteside's, his bum ass, played his best basketball in this place. You know what I'm saying? Johnson and all those guys that went 31-10. I mean, those journeymen never did anything like that. I've watched players, all of them, superstars, regular players, mediocre players. I've watched them all improve their games here. This is one of, I don't know how many you can find, Kurt, in the NBA that can really, truly improve this player. Again, Heat fans, I don't want him here. But am I right or am I wrong here on that?
I think you're spot on. Look, Ben Simmons, outside of the shot, which is easy to say, outside of the one biggest skill in the sport.
In this NBA, in the 90s, he would have been fine.
Exactly. But without that shot, but still an elite wing defender, still a good passer. Especially in transition, he does everything else well. He has to go someplace that can build his confidence up. I was just writing a story like Minnesota wants him. Yeah, that's not necessarily. Milwaukee. I don't think there's a lot of franchises that could build Ben Simmons' confidences up. I will just also say this: Miami is a hot rumored name for pretty much every star that comes. Lillard, if Lillard's available, Miami is going to be in the mix.
What does Miami have to trade? That's my problem, Kurt.
It's not easy.
That's where I step into reality. They have no draft picks.
Yep.
Tyler Hero's value just plummeted like Bitcoin right now. I mean, they don't have anything to trade, and there's going to be 15 teams that have way more to add on the table and say, here's a much better trade. And look, dude, I'd love to be the homer, but Kurt, I got to do this job objectively. What does Miami have to? I feel like that scene in History of the World. We have nothing. We have nothing for sale. You know, that's what I feel like.
It might even take a 3-team deal, but remember, Lillard is going to demand to go somewhere where he can contend. And in theory, you put him with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and so that
they're contending.
You're kidding. That absolutely makes sense on that level, but you're right. You're going to have to find a deal. Portland again. If
we give him Riley, can we give him Riley?
I don't think. Well,
it's closer to Long Beach.
It is. If there is nobody whose ego would clash with Riley's like Neil Olshey. Neil Olshey is maybe one of the biggest egos in the league. So yeah, that'd be a fun mix. It would take a lot to get it done, but I keep hearing how aggressive Miami's going to be because they were taken a little back by this season. They thought that they'd step forward off of the bubble. They didn't. And the East is also, it's not getting easier. Atlanta's not going anywhere. Like no. There are good teams building up in the East, and there are 3 elite teams. Milwaukee, I guess, is going to win the title. I hate picking them because I'm just not confident.
Dude, when Middleton is because this Giannis can't shoot. So when Middleton, and that's the problem, Middleton doesn't do it every night. But when Middleton is on, that's when they're scary, dude, because they've got Robin going on. Actually, Robin actually playing like Batman.
Yeah, they have an elite defense, and that can carry them a long way. My problem with them and a little bit with Bud is just they don't bring it every night, right? Like I wouldn't, if I were a betting man and had disposable income, and sadly those days are gone, but I would fear betting that team because I don't know which one. It's kind of like I don't know which one's showing up. I don't know which one's showing now. Clippers, I think the Clippers end tonight. I think their big gun was Game 4, and they're just I can't see them. But Milwaukee now, like a good team, a really elite team, would close the door, right? They're going to go into Atlanta and close the door and take that 3-1 lead and be a force in Game 4. Yeah, I don't know what Bucks team is showing up. I have no idea.
And by the way, I know people may laugh at me. They actually lost a little something in DiVincenzo.
Oh, they know they lost
for the year because he had actually developed into a really nice guard for them, and that was a real blow for them in their offense. Because because Giannis isn't a great scorer, he's great in the paint, but he can't really shoot like you really need him. DiVincenzo was a guy that really could help out Middleton. Because Middleton is a guy, again, like you just said, he doesn't do it every single night. When he's on, that's when Milwaukee is its scariest.
DiVincenzo can shoot. DiVincenzo can put the ball on the floor if you close out on him. He can make a little, he's not a great playmaker, but it's kind of like Joe Harris. You close out on him, you can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. Like, there's guys who can do it. He's there, and he was good defensively in their team system. Like, DiVincenzo was starting for a reason on that roster. Like that's a good, they do miss him. I think that they're going to be able to survive with what's left out there. But
all right, so we'll wrap it up with this. Kurt Helin from Pro Basketball Talk. So did Indiana finally say, well, we keep firing guys that go on to win titles somewhere else. Let's bring Carlisle back because he won one with the Mavs and Vogel won one with the Lakers and now our boy is with the Atlanta Hawks, a couple wins away from, McMillan's on his way to the NBA Finals almost. So all these coaches that we hire and then we fire, so now the guy they just fired with Indiana, you got to hire him because he's going to take you to a title now, right? That's how it goes, right?
Bjorkgren's got a lot of work to do to rehab his reputation around the league after that one. The issues there were not X's and O's, all right? So that was an interesting hire, not only because you're bringing back a former coach. They were definitely going to look. It was going to be him or Stotts because after the disaster with a first-time coach, they were bringing back a veteran. It was just, I think it was interesting. Carlisle reading the room and looking at it and saying, "Hey, Carlisle had been mentioned a lot for Mike Budenholzer's job, assuming Mike Budenholzer didn't get to the finals, and." Carlisle could have waited that out, but decided to go, bird in the hand, man. I'm going to take what's a nice roster, by the way. That's a pretty good team. They're not contenders, but that's a pretty good team. He's a great X's and O's guy. He's like, I'm taking this gig. I'm going to do it now rather than wait out what might happen somewhere else. And right about now, that seems like a good decision because if they make the finals, firing Mike.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not. And Carlisle is one hell of a coach, one of the 3 best, I believe, in the NBA. Follow him on Twitter because he is one of the best covering the NBA. He is Kurt Helin at Basketball Talk. Catch his work there at NBC Sports. Kurt, as always, you're a stud, my brother. Thank you for taking some time here on the video, and nice view too back there. Where are you at? Are you in the patio or something?
My wife is part of as a teacher doing some summer what do you call it, enrichment programs or something inside. Okay. So she's Zooming in the house. So I have been relegated to outside. So yeah, I'm out by my pool. I was just hopeful. Like, I live near the Long Beach airport, not on the flight path, but because it's an extra long runway, it's where they used to build the C-17s out here.
Ooh,
it's the C-17s or other military jets will land on the old Boeing super long runway. If that had happened during this, you would have lost me for 2 minutes. Like, if an F-18 comes over, we're just done, man. I was like, just hoping nothing flew over while we were here.
But it would have been cool at least. So, hey, hold on. There's an F-18 coming over us.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
They do the air shows out here. It's a few days of like, wow, those are a little louder than your average Southwest jet, man.
Yeah. We have them on the beach here, and it's
exactly.
I've been there a couple times to see it, and it's a great show.
It is.
Kurt,
awesome.
As always, thank you, my brother. Enjoy the basketball. We'll catch up down the line.
I look forward to it, man. Take care, buddy.
You got it, baby. Be good. There you go. The great Kurt Helin, man. Good stuff there. Appreciate him taking some time to join us here on the program. It's a beautiful thing. Let me tell you something. When it comes to what's going on in Portland, and for those of you that don't know what's going on in Portland and with Damian Lillard, and look, I would love to see him here, to be honest with you. And for those of you that don't know, because they hired Chauncey Billups to be their head coach. He signed a 5-year contract with the Portland Trailblazers. And so now Lillard had a little bit of, not necessarily the hiring power, but he gave them, his 2 cents on coaches he liked and things like that. And so now the story comes out that Chauncey Billups was involved in an alleged rape case several years ago. And so a lot of people were going after Damian Lillard, a lot of Portland fans, about, wait, what, didn't you know this about Chauncey Billups and all that? Because Chauncey, he was never convicted. He had a settlement. And remember, I told you that I was going to bring this up again. And I don't know how you view settlements. I don't know how to view them, because famous people at times come up with a settlement so they can get it out of their face and get it out of the news cycle and shut the people up. And sometimes it's just better you spend less money, sometimes just coming to a settlement, than going through a long trial and all that stuff. And plus the PR hits that you're constantly taking because of the long trial. Or, like I said, if you're innocent, you will scream bloody hell to everyone. You will stand on every building and mountain that there is, and you will scream from the top of your lungs how innocent you are and how pissed you are that you've been charged with anything. Am I right or am I wrong? So by him settling, I don't know how you look at it. You know what I mean? A lot of people look at it as guilty. So a lot of people were going after Damian Lillard. And Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports says the enormous backlash from the Portland Trailblazers process to hire a new coach and his concerns on whether a championship contender can be built have become factors that may push the franchise player Damian Lillard out the door, league sources says. Lillard has remained loyal to Portland in large due to the tremendous fan base, but over the last few days, he's seen some of those fans attacking him on social media for pending coaching hires he played no part in consummating, sources say. So Billups, by the way, tweeted out, really, I was asked what coaches I like of the names I heard, and I named them. Sorry, I wasn't aware of their history. I didn't read the news when I was 7 or 8 years old. I don't support those things. And he's talking about, obviously, the rape allegations. But if this is the route you all want to come at me, say less. And so one guy, Dame, I'm a huge fan of your game. If you weren't aware of the Billups rape case when the news first broke weeks ago, that's fair. I just can't believe that you weren't aware before the decision was made. And it's like some of these fans are just, you know that players don't necessarily know the history of their own games. You guys know that, right? Or you don't know that? Now, we are talking about a city full of morons because we are talking about a mayor that allows their people to just tear up the city every night, right? Last year, they were like, what was it? Wasn't even last year, it was several months ago, right? They were like 100 straight nights of just tearing up and fires and destroying your city. You know what I mean? The mayor of Portland should be jailed. The governor of Oregon should be jailed for allowing all that crap. It's like the morons in Seattle that they allow an autonomous zone. You're going to allow people to just take over a neighborhood and take down a police department. Are you out of your mind? And so we're talking about Portland, okay, where you've got morons that all they want to do is tear down their own city. I mean, seriously, those are the morons you're going to pay attention to? If you're Dane Lillard, yeah, you want the hell out of there now. Now, problem is, I don't know if Miami can make the move. I don't think Miami has anything to trade. I really don't. I think there's a ton of teams that are going to have way better packages because they're going to offer players and picks. And Miami can't trade their two most precious players, Bam and Jimmy. Outside of that, there isn't a lot of sexy left on this team. Nobody's lining up to trade Tyler Hero, a star for Tyler Hero. They're not doing that. And if you have no first-round picks, then how does that help? Plus, once you give them Dane Lillard, those first-round picks are going to be number 27 and 28 and stuff like that, and maybe 30 if you win the championship. But it makes no sense. They're going to trade him to a team that has a boatload of picks and can offer some young players or something in return. You're trading one of the best players in the NBA in Lillard. I can't see Miami having any juice whatsoever to make that move. But the other thing that I tripped out about that story is that poor Lillard is getting, ripped by people in that city. I have no respect for that town with all the idiots that they have going on, either running the city or doing all the rioting and everything that they're constantly doing. And I don't even know how they allow people to get away with that. It's just absolutely crazy. Really is. Man of 1,005 holes says Dane is loyal and fans hate him for thanking someone. They don't deserve that guy. I agree. Dane Lillard, Matt says Trailblazers have wasted Dane Lillard in his prime. I agree. Moondog Trading says Brook Lopez and the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs, they were daring him to shoot. That was their game plan on Bam. He could not make the mid-range in the playoffs, and he was hesitant to shoot. Bam can pass, rebound, play defense, and score in the paint. Ben Simmons plays the same way. No, Bam can hit mid-range jumpers a lot more than Simmons does. That's not a fair comparison, Moondog, at all. Okay? Let me explain why that is not even a close comparison. Okay? I'm going to go to Bam Adebayo, and I'm going to go to his stats, okay? Look at his stats. Here we go. You ready? And you're getting me to do this fresh without even being prepared, but I figure that I'll be able to give you a breakdown here. First of all, in field goal percentage, he shoots 57%. The only thing is that here at Basketball Reference, I can't do this because it doesn't really show jumpers. I've got to go to those expanded stats in order to do that. Let me see. What is it? The advanced stats. I don't have time to do that now, unfortunately. But I know that he shoots more mid-range. Ben doesn't shoot any mid-range jumpers. You know what I mean? So it can't be the same. And free throws, he shoots almost 80%, 79.9. I just can't find the 2-point shots and the percentages on jumpers, not that they're paint. Because again, obviously Simmons does the same thing in the paint. But if you look at Ben Simmons' free throws, his free throw percentage, just alone on that, which is what we do have, free throw percentage is 61, 62, 60, and 56. It was 61 this season. That's his free throw percentage. So he's that alone in itself is not even close to Bam. Bam does hit mid-range jumpers. He hits them all the time. He's actually pretty good at mid-range. What he can't shoot is the three. He's not a great three-point shooter. I'd have to look at advanced stats, and I don't have time for that now, but I could, later on tonight and then bring them to you tomorrow. But there's no comparison. Bam is a way better shooter than Simmons. What Bam isn't is a great scorer. That's not what he is. He's never developed into that. But he is way ahead of Ben Simmons. That's not even close. Bam will shoot and shoot pretty well from two-point range. 3-point range, that's a whole different ballgame, But he's a much better shooter than Ben Simmons. It's not a good comparison, Ben Simmons and Bam. Bam is way better. I'll take Bam every day of the week. Big O, you underestimate the Godfather and his mastermind skills in trading and making something happen out of completely nothing, and Riley we trust. Well, I don't know what's the trade that happened lately that it made it amazing, because Jimmy was a free agent. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like you had to give up to get him. It hasn't really happened lately. He hasn't made a lot happen. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I love Riley, but I don't think Riley can make something happen when he has nothing. If you don't have the ammo, how are you going to make it happen? And that's where I love Riley, and I love what he's done for 25 years, but he's kind of painted himself into a corner right now. He's got his roster, doesn't have any picks, and he doesn't have a lot of sexiness to trade. The only sexiness he has is his two players that he has to keep and build around in Bam and Jimmy. Everything else is, and you got to keep Duncan now. You have no choice. We were talking about, do you pay him that? You pay his ass. You got to pay him the $20 million a year, bro. You got no choice. You need shooters in this league. And he's the one guy that's got a skill set that nobody else has on this team. And the one good thing about about the Duncan that I absolutely love and trust is that he's going to work his ass off to try to get better, because that's what he's done every year. Now, I don't think he'll ever become a great defender, but I think he's gotten better at, obviously playing without the ball to set himself up. He wasn't even anything like that in his first year, and he's gotten better throughout the process. So I think he can get better overall at putting the ball on the floor, creating his own shot. I think he can get better in those areas offensively. Defensively, he's just got to find a way to stay in front of people and kind of get in their way. I don't think he's ever going to be the guy that is going to be shutting people down or stealing the ball a lot or anything like that. Although he can also learn how to get creative and get in the passing lanes, something that Tim Hardaway was never a one-on-one defender, but Tim Hardaway was very savvy in getting steals and getting himself in those passing lanes and anticipating stuff and getting in the middle of it and creating some turnovers. I think Duncan can do that. I think any player in the NBA can learn to do that when he learns how to read what's going on around him and learns how to anticipate, that kind of stuff. But I just don't see Riley being able to trade for anybody, because I don't see that he has the weapons. I mean, the what's it called? The picks for it. He just doesn't have it, man. Doesn't have the picks, doesn't have the players. I think it's going to be a real problem for him, to be honest with you. I got to tell you, you know what's funny that I saw was Master P. He is actually hiring an agent because he wants to be a head coach in the NBA. So Master P has hired Rock Nation as his sports agency to get a head coaching job. Now, I was thinking about this, and forget whatever he does with his kid or coaching, little league or whatever the hell it is. This guy has zero experience coaching college, zero experience coaching in the NBA, not an NBA assistant. Okay, he's a rapper. And I know he's been trying to be in the sports game for a while. But the thing that I was thinking about is, first of all, if you're a team, how do you explain to your fans that you hired Master P as your head coach? How do you explain to fans, if you're the owner or the GM, that Master P is the guy to lead us to a championship? Because he's never done it anywhere else. He has zero experience coaching in the NBA. So I'm wondering, how delusional does he think he is that somebody would be interested in him in the NBA? I mean, you'd be laughed off unless he somehow proves all of us wrong or something. But I'm wondering, how dumb of a team would you be to hire Master P? And then how would you explain the hiring of Master P? And then the best part is the press conference that follows and him taking the questions. That would be just absolutely classic. Master P. And the other thing is, what an insult to real coaches around the NBA, real coaches in college basketball, real assistant coaches that have been busting their ass and climbing the ladder. And listen, I understand, not that I necessarily always agree with it, but the great player, the Jason Kidd, Steve Kerr's not a great player, but a smart guy and got an opportunity. I seen that, we've watched them do it a couple times where they bring a Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And most of them fail. Most of them don't have a lot of success, but once in a while you'll hire a Mark Jackson who does a really good job. Steve Kerr has done a solid job over there with Golden State. So far it looks like what's the name of the dude here with the terrible hair? Damn it, what's his name? Steve Nash. Yeah, Steve Nash and Jeff Hornacek had the worst hair in NBA history. I mean, it just was flat and greasy and just weird. Trae Young is right there with them. Those three are probably the worst hair we've ever seen in the NBA right there. But anyway, as I digress, we've watched other teams hire those guys, but they're proven basketball players, that have championship pedigree and a lot of experience and all that. Master P has none of that. He doesn't play. He's never played on an NBA team and gone to win a title. He's not a great player or anything like that. Again, he's a rapper. I mean, go coach a 3v3 for Ice Cube, dude. But I don't know. I'd give anything just to watch an NBA team hire him, because the comedy hour would be absolutely awesome while it lasts. I don't know how long it's going to last. A month, 6 months, a year, 2 maybe. But either way, it's going to be incredibly entertaining if somebody's stupid enough to hire Master P to be their head coach. I thought that was pretty hilarious. What else do we have? Music-wise, ZZ Top Tour has been announced. I have not been to the Key West Amphitheater. I've been dying to go down to Key West to go see a concert there for the hell of it. Go down for a whole day, hang out, have some drinks, go to Sloppy Joe's, then go to a concert. Maybe just obviously go back to another bar, stay the night, then come back up to Miami. So give me a scouting report if any of you have been to the Key West Amphitheater, and is it cool? Is it worth it? ZZ Top is going there November 6th on their 2021 tour. They'll be November 9th, they'll be in Tampa at the Hard Rock Casino there. On the 11th, they'll be in Orlando at the Hard Rock International. On the 13th, our friends in Fort Myers, they'll be at the Barbara Mann Performing Arts Hall. I've seen ZZ Top 100 times. But I want to go to the Key West Amphitheater to go see a concert. And ZZ Top would be a really cool concert to see in Key West. That's on my, not that it's this kind of incredible bucket list or something like Red Rocks or something, or the Greek Theater in LA or something. No. But it's still something that I want to do. I need a scouting report on the Key West Amphitheater. So send it to me on Twitter, send it to me on YouTube, anywhere. If you got it, tell me how that place is, because I might go. And give me the scouting report on part 1 of the History. I did not see it yesterday, and I'm going to miss part 2 because I don't have A&E, which sucks, by the way. I want to watch that Kiss special in a bad way. Big time. So give me a scouting report on that also. All right. It is, you know what? I didn't even get time to finish everything today. And we did almost 3 hours today on the show. We have rocked out today for a long time. Please remember to smash the hell out of that like button. It is very important to smash the like button. Thank you all out there for tuning in. I want to thank Weapon X United, Leon Fresco, and Ed Marti dropping a little love on the super chat. I appreciate you all out there for that. That is very kind. I want to thank Michelle Kaufman from the Miami Herald to join us, talking a little Inter-Miami football. Kurt Helin from Pro Basketball Talk. Thanks to him for joining us, talking a little NBA. We pretty much addressed all the issues going on in the NBA, and Lord knows there's a lot of them out there. I, of course, want to thank all of you for watching. Those of you that are downloading the podcast, thank you all out there for downloading the podcast. Remember to smash the hell out of that like button, subscribe, share the podcast, all that good stuff. It's very, very important that you do that every single day that you're on. So thank you all out there. We will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a fantastic one.